Okay, we'll come back to order, please. There we go. Okay. Reconvening. Try to give it at 5 o'clock. Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then invocation by Ms. Twyman. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your head in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Twyman. Okay. Revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, we would, on item 13.1, we would ask the board to approve that item as amended. We included in the annual school safety plans CMI in the board's agenda for PUHSD, and so we need to pull that out. And so, board members, if you approve that, you'll be approving 13.1 as amended, and we'll bring CMI's Safe School Plan to you next month on April 15th. I apologize for the error.
During the CMI.
During the CMI agenda, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. So we are voting with 13.1 as amended. So. You guys getting a vote? Okay. I'm calling for the vote, and nothing's coming up. No. Nothing's coming up when I call for the vote.
And refresh.
I can try.
No, it's not Nelson. Okay, interesting. Okay.
Okay, let me try one more time. Calling. Okay, there it is. Please vote. All right, there we go. Thank you. Report out of closed session.
There's no report tonight, Mr. President, out of closed session.
Thank you. District update by the superintendent.
Thank you very much, President Nelson. Well, the first job I get tonight is the best of all. I'd like to ask Audrey Smith and Jeff Perez and Julie Zierl to join me at the podium. I'll try to do this sideways so I'm not turning my back on anybody. At a previous board meeting, I informed the public, the board, of our District Employees of the Year. And they get a chance to compete at the county level for County Employee of the Year. Most school districts are really happy to get one. I mean, that's really, you think about all the students in this county, or all the employees in the county, teachers, principals, classified employees. It's amazing. Well, we didn't have one winner. We didn't have two winners. But out of the 8 for the entire county, the Paris Union High School District had 3 winners. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor to introduce Riverside County's Classified Employee of the Year, Audrey Smith. Next to my left, Riverside County's Classified Administrator of the Year. We own this one. We've had 3 winners in 5 years. We had Leslie Venelith 5 years ago. We had Art Fritz 2 years ago. And now, Jeff Perez, Classified Administrator of the Year. And now we have the full Monty. We have the Principal of the Year for Riverside County, Ms. Julie Zerold. Now, they say it's impossible for people to, with 58 counties, to get the State Employee of the Year. Well, these guys have already beat the odds. And so I'm really looking forward to recognizing them and seeing them continue to shine. And they just exemplify all the teachers, all of the classified administrators, all the principals in our district who do just such a wonderful job each and every day. Remind everybody that a week from Thursday at Monteleone Meadows, we're having the district employee recognition ceremony where we'll recognize these three again, as well as all of our other great employees in the district. So ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for our county employees of the year. So the bar's been raised. Okay, moving on. Tonight we're going to recognize some very special students, and I want to recognize them publicly. First of all, we're going to start off with Mrs. Kathy Hockla. Mrs. Kathy Hockla teaches at Paris High School. She teaches foods and nutrition and all those good things over at Paris High School. And she and I are going to give some special certificates out to some students. And she's going to describe what is over there, kind of like where Mr. Morgan's standing to his left. There's some goodies. And she's going to explain all that. So I'm going to join you down there because I know you have some very special recognition for the students.
So awkward having my back to everyone. So I was a restaurant manager years ago, and you never have your back to the door. I first want to thank the board for supporting our culinary arts and baking and pastry program through the years and through the future. We have a new building that I keep asking, is it done yet? Do I get my classroom keys yet? So that's in the works, and we've built a strong program with baking and pastry and the Skills USA component, which is a national organization. We have over there some red velvet cupcakes. We have some French toast with maple syrup, frosting, and bacon bit cupcakes. Chocolate with chocolate meringue with chocolate shavings. And I'm going to have our student that made the other item to tell you what he brought. But I want to recognize, first of all,
You want me to help you?
yes,
Go ahead.
we have Stephen Waltermere here. Join us. So the first thing I guess we should say is Stephen just entered a regional contest with Skills USA, and with all of Southern California came up with a gold medal in culinary arts. So on behalf of Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez, just presented you with an award, and thank you for your service to our area. Yes, that's what's next. You want to tell what the rest of your good news, Stephen, and tell us about the other pastry that you put together this morning for this group? You get to talk next.
To start off, we have this morning, for my second period culinary class, I prepared a breakfast quiche. It's like a breakfast dessert. It has sausage, bacon, cheese, eggs. Really good. Hope you guys enjoy it. Just wanted to mainly thank Ms. Hockla here. One of my favorite quotes, there's no such thing as a bad student, but there's as bad teachers, and there's a reason why every year we always come with the medal from Paris High in the regional competitions. And I wanted to thank her very much for everything she's helped me with. And and lastly, just I got a scholarship to Johnson Wales University. It's ranked number. It is ranked number 10 in all culinary schools in the United States, and they awarded me with a $52,000 scholarship.
Thank you. And just in closing, we do have another certificate. Little gal couldn't make it tonight. Mom got called into work. Victoria Luna also got a gold medal in restaurant service in our region. They'll both be going to the state contest next month in San Diego at the Town and Country. Thank you. Enjoy the pastries.
So regardless of the outcome at the board meeting, it's going to be a sweet meeting. Okay? All right. Tonight, it gives me great honor also to introduce a sophomore from Paloma Valley High School, Annabelle Torres. I'm going to read a little bit about Annabelle, and then we're going to let you hear a composition that she did. Annabelle Torres is a student at Paloma Valley High School. She's been selected for the 2015 High School Honors Performance Series at Carnegie Hall. She will perform on the flute. She did perform on the flute last month with the Honors Band. Participation in one of these three ensembles is limited to the highest-rated high school performers from across North America and select schools internationally. Annabelle Torres, a sophomore, auditioned this fall for the Honors Performance Series and was accepted after a review by the Honors Selection Board. Acceptance to the elite group is a direct result of the talent, dedication, and achievements demonstrated in her application and audition recording. Annabelle will join other performers from 49 U.S. states, several provinces in Canada, and several foreign countries for a special performance at world-famous Carnegie Hall. According to Morgan Smith, program director, being selected in the Honors Performance Series is something each finalist should be extremely proud of accomplishing. We process more than 10,000 nominations annually, selecting only the most talented performers applying on an international level. Working with these conductors and performing at Carnegie Hall is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that these student musicians will never forget. Annabelle has studied music for over 6 years, is a member of the Bravura Youth Symphony Orchestra, the King Carl King Honor Band, and the Paloma Valley High School Symphony Winds. She was named the Most Valuable Musician and Most Valuable Musician in 2012 at the Menifee Valley Middle School, served as Principal Flutist at the King Carl King Honor Band in 2014, and received honorable mention from the San Diego Flute Guild. She's also received branch honors from the MTAC and received a 5 rating in the Sonata Festival. In response to her selection as a finalist, Annabelle said, being given the opportunity to learn from an amazing conductor and work with such talented musicians is what I'm most excited about. Ladies and gentlemen, Annabelle Torres. Congratulations. Annabelle Torres. We've recognized a lot of students over the years, but we've never done one like that, and that's pretty amazing. Want to report that this is from Marcy Savage, but I'm going to read it because it's really impressive, and I couldn't say it better. Last weekend, Pinacati Middle School and Paris High School staff and students are to be commended for their determination and dedication to science and math. Pinacati began the weekend, last weekend, on Friday night with outstanding displays of science projects, hands-on activities, and an array of science wonder. Parents and students and staff joined in the fun and awards. Special thanks to all of you who so willingly were there and making the evening so worthwhile and fun for all. Oh yes, a bit of learning was definitely evident. Also, Pinacati Middle School, congratulations on your Saturday science camp. Great idea. Paris High School followed up on Saturday with Pi Day, which for you non-math people means 3.14. Okay, all right, you probably all got it. Calculus classes in Casey Prep. Michael Mesa and Land Noble. Unbelievable excitement and enthusiasm was heard in classrooms and in the multipurpose room. Teacher Elena Gartel is to be commended for a tremendous organization and overall organization of the day, as well as special thanks to the staff who were present. The competition was fierce, but again, learning was definitely fun. Very impressive learning. So congratulations to Paris High School and Pinacati Middle School. I want everyone to know, yes, that's very good. Speaking of Paris High School, this Saturday at 9 o'clock is, I think, the third annual, maybe the fourth, Paris Panther Sports Challenge. Fifth. Well, third, fourth, fifth. Stop me when I get the right number. Anyway, it'll be this Saturday at 9 o'clock. All the high schools are collaborating. It's a chance for our special ed students, our severely handicapped students, to feel that they're champions out on the athletic field. And it's wonderful to see our athletes who work with them make them feel like champions. So if you want to feel good Saturday morning, 9 o'clock at Paris High School, you will enjoy. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Matthew Morgan, who is a parent of a student at Heritage High School, and he was integrally involved in the African American History Month presentation that went on, a number of activities at Heritage High School last month. And so he's asked for it, and I've said, sure, we'd like to hear about that activity. I know Mrs. Cooley attended the evening, and so, Mr. Morgan, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you. And he's also a member of School Site Council.
Thank you, Dr. Greenberg. Again, I hate to have my back to
Yeah.
but go ahead and put that up. Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the time to speak. They're getting the PowerPoint started here. Some more of a movie.
Morgan, do you want us to put that science board up over here on the corner?
Yeah, I don't want to block Miss Raines, though. Okay. While he's setting up, I was going to talk during that event, while it's playing. It's a short 4 minutes, mostly just pictures of the event itself. But I want to first of all say that Black History Month celebration was actually a labor of between parents and students and community. It couldn't have been done by one person alone. Some of the parents that were there, as well as the school personnel, and I thank them all for what they did. It was nothing done by myself. It was something done with their support. One of the parents that are here tonight is Ms. Khan. She was one of the ones that helped put this together, along with many other people. Ms. Khan not only help us put it together, we served food for over 250 students that night. And it's actually in excess of that because we bought over 260 pieces of chicken, and then we bought another 40, 50 pieces of chicken strips. And so we estimated that we served, my numbers to Mr. Burns, it was over 250, easily. Easily over 250 students and parents as well as attendees. So the event was an excellent event. It was designed to do one thing, that is bring awareness of the the contributions of African Americans to not to the nation, but recognizing them at Paris High School District. The the people that put this together, again, like I say, were numerous. Some of the people that did this, and I want to mention them real quickly. As we look at the reel, you see some of the people up there. Ms. Cooley's in the pictures there. We have representatives from the band as well as from the robotics. Mr. Richard Santana's up there. We have people from Paris Elementary School District Board that participated, that came with us. We have Michelle Montgomery from African American Success Council at Val Verde School District came over to join us. We had President Margaret Briggs from the Paris Valley History Committee, African American History Committee. Mr. Mosen Khan, this is his mother, Mrs. Khan. He read his own effects of what this event meant. And one of the things we talked about was making sure that events like this occur, that it goes open to everyone. You know, that he said that one of the nice things about this event was, and you'll see at the end, how everyone participated in the success of it. It was not just one particular person, and it was multiple families. In fact, I had parents that were not even at the school yet, they're 8th grade parents that were there, and grandparents that participated, that in anticipation of coming next year. We did a special tribute by Mr. Richard Takta. Richard is, as you see up on the board there, Richard is in speech and debate. He's in so many different things. He's in band. And we were able to get a special treat from Mr. Curtis Brooks, who's a saxophonist, and he plays with Huge Groove. He plays with all the tops. This kid's only 19 years old. And he gave us a nice performance. He said, I said, could you come out and share a little bit with it? He goes, sure. I used to play basketball over there. I said, oh, okay. And so I said, well, we don't want basketball. We want to hear that saxophone tonight. And so he was able to give us a few numbers, which kids were clapping because they were playing some Beyonce music, I guess. They knew it. I didn't know it, but they were clapping to it. So that was one of the things that we had there. Mr. Richard Takta did speak, and if you see on the board, you can probably barely see it up there, but Mr. James Reeb is one of the honorees that we honored at our event this year. We honored him for several reasons. Black History Month is not any month that's separate or exclusive from anything else other than American history. I don't know if you can hear me back there, but James Reeb, 50 years ago, in 1965, came down from Boston, suburbs of Boston, to participate with Dr. Martin Luther King in the march across the bridge in Selma. He has 3 children and his wife. He was watching what was going on television. He says, "This is wrong. I got to do something." He's a minister. He was a minister at the time. And he says, I got to do something to support it. And so he went down there. They went across the bridge. Dr. Martin Luther King got on his knees and knelt and said, "Wait, no, not yet. We'll go back." So they went back. And that within the next day or two, him and a couple of other ministers went and had dinner at a restaurant. And on their way out, they were severely beaten by white supremacists. And Mr. Reeves was given a concussion, which a couple of days later he passed away. He didn't have to be there. But then again, when I got an email from his granddaughter before I did this event and let him know that we were going to honor him, she says, "Thank you." And she says, "Thank you from her father, John," which is Mr. Reeves' son. And she says, "We really appreciate it." And the reason why I said that I honored him for this reason is because that day, just like you see in this event with all the different people that are up there doing this, it was not just one group of people that made a difference. It was a group of people from different faiths, different nationalities, different walks of life that made the changes that occurred in 1965 with the Voter Registration Act and so many other things that fell after that. And I wanted that representation to be the same 50 years later in our first event that we do, that we recognize that it didn't take just one, but it took many people wanting a change to occur. And that is how this event came about. And I wanted also for the fact that
kids never had soul food at the school. You know, they had everything. Because I asked them about soul food. They asked me, oh, we have ribs. I said, okay. They said, soul food. They said, oh, we had chicken. I said, I said, no, keep going. I even asked Mike, or Mike Slippage, is it? Yeah. I asked Mike, I said, Mike, tell me what soul food is. He goes, oh, he put me on the spot. I said, well, just tell me what you think it is. And so that night, his guys got to taste what soul food was. A taste of soul food. That's what it's called. A taste of soul food. I said that for a reason, because I don't want these kids to think they're going to get a full belly out of it. So I said a taste of soul food. But they ate very well. Their plates were very full. So, you know, the menu, so I want to let you know, since some of you were not there, was chicken, greens, macaroni and cheese. And the greens and macaroni and cheese was furnished by AJ's Fish Market. And they did a great job. We really appreciate it for that. And the chicken came from Winco. They made it fresh within 1 hour of us eating it. That's when we were eating it, right? Just that time. And one of the people that came out to help support it was as a parent there up there. She did the decorating. Her kid's not up there at the school yet, but she did all our decorating of our tables. She set up our food. And I want to say between Miss Julie Watson, who did our decorating, Mr. Sam Perkins, Mr. Tate Burns, Mrs. Khan, and so many others, that this event was very successful because it leads a segue to one thing, and that is to the African American Parent Council that we are just starting the first of its existence in the school district itself. And I'm excited about it because we have great support coming from the superintendent's office and with Marcy Savage, and we have definitely a lot of support coming from the parents and the community. That's what's going to make the difference for all of our kids. It's not just one person, but everyone working together to make that difference. And I want to thank everyone for what they did. And I just want to share with you what we can do when we come together as a community. Even if it was a first-time event, there were some hiccups, but you know what? That's what events are about, hiccups. You know, so next year, let's have it bigger and more hiccups. So I'm fine with that. Thank you very much for your time. Mr. Greenberg, if you don't mind, I'd like to have Ms. Khan just say a couple of words. She wanted to tell you a little about what she thought of this.
Sure, no problem.
Yes. Hi, hi, both board members and everybody, parents, teachers, everybody. I just want to say that because of the awareness that we have, the Black History Month, the Soul Food Night. Okay, I chose to be there and participated because I'd like to have the awareness that everybody definitely is different, and there's definitely different races. And so I want to know my community. I want to know the different people with their beautiful faces. And this is one of many, and I'd like to attend many more. Black History Month, Asian, Hispanic, all this Middle Eastern, everything. So I want to know my community. So definitely, I enjoyed it, and definitely everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Greenberg.
A couple months ago, we got a letter. We didn't read it early enough, but we're going to read it now, that Marcy received about Carrie Weldon, a English language arts teacher at Heritage High School. It's from the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium. We would like to acknowledge the contributions Carrie Weldon made in creating the Smarter Balanced Digital Library. As you are aware, the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium is guided by the belief that a high-quality assessment system can provide information and tools for teachers and schools to improve instruction and help students succeed. Because of Carrie's efforts, educators across member states are supported by an online collection of high-quality instructional and professional learning outcomes. It's amazing to think that just a little over 1 year ago, we celebrated when the first resource was posted to the digital library. This past July, we celebrated posting 1,000 resources. Today, we have more than 2,600 resources available in the digital library. We're excited to continue growing the collection and providing opportunities for educators to collaborate around their practice. Again, we are grateful for Carrie's contributions to this project. We also recognize that your support as an instructional leader was critical to the success of the digital library, and thank you for your contributions. So let's have a nice round of applause for Carrie Weldon. I get asked by other districts, why has Scholar Plus been so successful? There's a lot of reasons why the Chromebook rollout has been so successful, and it's been great for students, but Here's some information that was provided to me. This is from Shane Pinnell. Joe Williams and I constantly monitor our help desk and check our ratings and other metrics. You're supposed to be putting something up on the screen right now. This week's positive response really stood out to me, and I thought it would be good end to the week to you to know this. We received 204 new tickets. Those are tickets with issues that teachers are having with the technology or classified employees, and we closed 192 of them. Roughly 25% of our staff has submitted a ticket, took the time out of their busy days to rate our service positively. 12 of those that provided a rating actually went a step further and wrote us a positive message. Our positive rating continues to hover at around 99%. Our guys and gals do a great job for our students, teachers, and staff. I also want to thank you for providing us the opportunity to deliver such great service. Too many organizations are critically understaffed and are forced to accept weeks-long delays in service, which can only hamper the efforts of innovative and hard-charging teachers and drain the morale of those unlucky tech souls that toil under those conditions. Our mix of talented and passionate staff in IT is the recipe for success. And so, we talk about what the teachers are doing, which is fantastic, what they're doing in Haiku and creating all the assessments and lessons and units. But again, it wouldn't be possible without the help of IT. So, Mr. Williams, on behalf of the district, would you please share with your staff our appreciation for their hard work? Here's a message from a couple weeks ago that I read, sent out to the leadership team. Good evening. This evening, the PUHSD All-Stars won the People's Choice Award for the 7th time in 8 tries at the 10th Annual Menifee Valley Community Cupboards Annual Celebrity Karaoke at Monteleone Meadows in Murrieta. More importantly, there were 23 tickets sold to district administrators and our business partners, by far the largest group in attendance. Our act alone raised more than $7,000 for the community cupboards. It was a great evening. Many thanks to the PUHSD All-Stars who worked tirelessly this week to put on Grease's hit, Summer Nights. The group practiced 4 days after school at Paris High School under the guidance of Paris High School dance teacher Catherine Perez, and it paid off tonight. The team included Paloma Valley High School Assistant Principal Jennifer Tomasian as Frenchie, Paris High School Assistant Principal Adriana Lepe Ramirez as Rizzo, Paloma Valley High School Principal Don Williams as Kanicki, Heritage High School Assistant Principal Bill Clough as Rump, the incomparable Tanya Davis, our Executive Director of Human Resources, as Sandy, and yours truly as Danny Zuko. Behind the scenes, many members of our leadership team contributed to the fundraising efforts by writing checks out of their own checkbook to the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard, which is greatly appreciated. Leadership team members in attendance that night, besides the people I mentioned, included Candace Rains, who leaned on every business partner to make sure they understood this was a charity they should contribute to. Steve Swartz, Grant Bennett, Joe Williams, Kim Marksbury, Chris Rabing, and many of our spouses. Our institutional fundraising was led by Candace Rains. She single-handedly convinced many of our business partners that they should support the community cupboard. This year, our fundraising efforts increased by more than 300%. Thank you, Candace. Tanya Davis put it best when she said, "We're not shy and have no shame in asking our team and business partners to support the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard because hunger in America never takes a day off." I thank everyone in indulging me by supporting this community effort. So I wanted to thank everybody involved in that. And I have a message to read to end my presentation. Finally, I'd like to read a statement about the incident that occurred at Heritage High School last Friday. Yes, it was Friday the 13th. After a careful review of the facts, the matter was handled flawlessly. By its very nature, an emergency situation cannot be completely planned far in advance. Sound judgment and the safety of students and staff are our number one priority. So here's what happened. 2 students brought 4 water bottles and dry ice to school with the full intent of causing a dry ice explosion once put in a sealed water bottle. The 2 perpetrators are 9th grade students at Heritage High School. An interesting aside is that the main perpetrator had not one entry in his discipline file and was not considered a dangerous student. Law enforcement and school administration have been monitoring a social media site known as Burn Book, which was being used in the local area to anonymously threaten students, school employees, and school themselves. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department has concluded that there's no connection between what people were saying on Burn Book on March 12th and what the two students did on Friday the 13th at Heritage. At approximately 9:05 a.m., one of these water bottles with the dry ice was sealed and subsequently exploded in the restroom in the boys' locker room. The injured student, one, who was suffering hearing loss, came to the health office. 911 was called for paramedics, and the parent arrived at approximately 9:20 a.m. Hearing the call for paramedics, the Sheriff's Department also responded. The school was placed on lockdown at 9:15. The purpose of the lockdown was to quickly apprehend the perpetrators, look for more devices, and secure the crime scene. During the lockdown, the perpetrator and his accomplice were apprehended, along with the additional water bottles and dry ice. While the lockdown seemed to last longer than needed, the Sheriff's Department and its bomb squad team wanted to make certain that the school was safe before resuming normal operation. The lockdown was lifted at 11:20 a.m. As you might expect, last Friday's incident was complicated due to social media and the regular media. Students were texting their parents, Menifee 24/7, the Press Enterprise, Channel 7, and Channel 5. At 10:20 a.m., Principal Zero sent an email to her staff informing them that law enforcement was investigating dry ice in a water bottle and to keep their eyes out for anything suspicious. Law enforcement was controlling the internal communications, not wanting too much information to be in the hands of the alleged perpetrators before they were convinced that all the suspects had been apprehended. In the meantime, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources Steve Swartz was at Heritage working as a liaison between law enforcement and district administration. At the same time, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services Candace Rains was contacting parents district-wide by phone dialers, reassuring them that their students were safe and that more information would be forthcoming. She also placed the same information up on the district's various social media sites. By the time I got a call from Doug Spoon from Murrieta 24/7, he already been informed that an explosion occurred at Heritage High School and that a lockdown was in place. Like all the information we were sharing with the public that morning, our goal was to calm fears, reassure parents, and try to keep them from coming to school to pull their students out for the day. But because the lockdown lasted so long, panic set in for some parents who came down to the school to pick up their students, only complicating what was already a complicated situation. The bottom line is that our students, classified staff, teachers, law enforcement, site and district administration did a fabulous job under very trying circumstances. While some staff members at Heritage would have preferred more up-to-date information during the emergency, clearly dealing with the situation and following the recommendations of law enforcement took priority. Both students involved are facing charges with law enforcement, serious charges, as well as severe consequences from the school district. Safety and Risk Manager Judy Miller, Assistant Superintendent of Business Candace Rains, Principal Julie Zero, then I will debrief with law enforcement in the next few weeks. As always, we will learn from this experience because unfortunately something like this, what happened last Friday, can and will happen again. And that concludes my report tonight. This is unusual.
I'm going to steal a little bit of my superintendent's thunder. I don't know if any of you really know about California Association of Educational Office Professionals, but it's an organization throughout the state of California that I'm involved in and several employees in our district are involved in. And each year we can nominate an administrator of the year, and I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Greenberg won that award this year and received this award in Pasadena this past Friday. And to show his support, his cabinet showed up. We had about 15 of our employees there. And Miss Rains, did a press release for us. Sorry, I got you married in like 2 seconds. Woo! You didn't know that. She did a press release that went out, and it went on Press Enterprise Twitter page. And also, I don't know if you know, Dr. Greenberg is also a cohort mentor with Brandman University for the doctoral program, and they did an article. So I'm going to follow my superintendent and read just a quick paragraph. from the Brandman article. It says, not every superintendent understands the challenges of being an executive or administrative assistant in a growing school district. Jonathan Greenberg does, and to honor him for the support and encouragement, he's provided the California Association of Educational Office Professionals named him their Administrator of the Year on Friday evening, and their annual convention was at Pasadena Hilton. He is the best I've ever seen, said Lori Ortel, the executive assistant to Greenberg for the Paris Union High School District. In her nomination letter, Lori Ortel commended Greenberg for creating the Classified Secretarial Initiative, which provides 5 professional development classes throughout the year, which is really great because then our administrative assistants teach these classes to our other classified secretarial staff. And we went from a very small group now to almost 100% of every classified secretary in the district attending these professional development. Mentioning the accomplishments of the classified staff in board meetings and district newsletters. He's always promoting what we do and sharing that with everybody. And he also encourages staff members to serve on leadership positions in CAEOP, which gives us an opportunity as classified secretarial staff to represent the district throughout the state. So congratulations, Dr. Greenberg, very well deserved.
You want to give us a little snippet of Summer 11?
Excuse me?
Summer 11? Can you give us a little example? Come on. You want to sing for us here? No? Okay.
There may or may not be a video somewhere out there on social media.
They wanted to show the video, and I said, no, let's not embarrass ourselves anymore.
Okay. Okay, student representatives to the Board of Trustees. From Heritage High School, Anthony Hushoff and Natalie Bowen.
Good evening, board members, trustees. My name is Anthony.
And I'm Natalie.
So, following all the events that happened on Friday, we still had a lot of great things happening. We've had our MORP happen. MORP went off amazing. I was surprised going from last year's MORP, which was kind of unorganized. This year's was, I loved it. It was, I think everything just went better. Everything was just better in general. This upcoming Saturday, we have the Panther Challenge, which our AVID team, along with other students, will be helping out, along with doing things like the Polynesian Club will be there performing. And it's going to be an amazing time.
Our pep rally for MORP went really well, too. We had a lot. We had our color guard perform the first time they performed in a pep rally this year, and they did really good. They're getting better. And we have Mr. Heritage coming up. It's a boy pageant for our seniors. It's on April 17th, so.
Yes, please go. I'll be hosting it along with 2 of my fellow students, and it's a great time to see some guys walk around stage and pretend to be girls for a little bit. We also had our Cassie the past 2 days, so I want to say good luck to all the sophomores out there that were taking it. I know it's stressful, but it pays off in the end. Other than that, that's pretty much all we have for Heritage. We want to say thank you for letting us be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Trustee Agundes.
Yeah, from Paloma Valley High School, student rep Michaela Lee.
Hello, board. I may not be Michaela Lee, although, but I am here on behalf of Paloma Valley High School. My name is Ray Garcia, and I'm glad to be here. So I'll be saying a few things about Paloma, which is my school. So I believe you just clicked it. Okay, so we had open house and 8th grade orientation both in one day. And that is actually a really cool thing because not only did our students get to go around to the classes with their parents so that they could address their teachers and stuff like that, but we had 8th graders there as well so that the students could talk to the 8th graders and show them how Paloma works. We had different booths for different clubs, such as drama all the way to cooking, from video games all the way to Polynesian. The 8th graders got to talk to performers, got to talk to sports athletic people, and they got to see how Paloma worked, and it was really cool. The girls' soccer team. Our girls' soccer team is actually one of the strongest in the league right now. They went undefeated and went to state, which is a record at Paloma because no team has ever gone to state. So they hold a record of their own right now. However, we did lose at state to a team. We did, which was sad, but we still got the chance to go to state, which is really amazing. We had them in 2 overtimes, and then they won from the penalty shot. But our girls' soccer team, nonetheless, is one of the strongest in the league. Our varsity cheer and song team. So we hosted the Sunbelt cheer competitions, and our cheer team and our song team are phenomenal. They're great. And so it was really cool because not only did they get to showcase and perform what they have to offer, but they got to see what other students and other cheer teams and song teams had to offer as well. So they got to learn from each other, and it was a really great experience. Our NJROTC program in our battalion. We have one of the strongest battalions ever, actually. There's 59 schools that 59 schools that went to competition, and ours ranked 3rd. So not only that, but our ROTC our ROTC program is heading over to Florida right now for the Super Bowl competitions. So we wish them luck and hope they have a good time. Our academic decathlon team. So we don't have it set up yet. However, our teacher, Mr. Heine, is setting up an academic decathlon team so that Paloma can showcase our brains and our wits, so that we have wits behind our bronze, So we'll be able to showcase all of our students and their marvelous brains that do things I can't even imagine. Julia Rivera, actually one of the smartest students that goes to Paloma right now. She has a 4.72 cumulative GPA, and she just won a $20,000 scholarship from Chegg. That goes to our first year for college. So I do not know where she's going to school. USC?
And she had not decided. I saw her today, took a picture with her, and she had said she was committed to, hadn't decided, and she had 10 really top schools.
Yeah.
She will let us know when she decides.
Yeah, although I'm expecting her to get a full ride. She's brilliant. Shrek the Musical at Paloma. So I'm actually in the musical. I'm playing Lord Farquaad, the short little villain. And it's going to be a really great production. You guys should really come out and see it. Support the drama. So we have a show on Friday, opening at 6, a show on Saturday, again at 12, and then the following Friday and Saturday at 6 and 12 again. Tickets are $8 pre-sale and $10 at the door. Pep rally at Paloma. So we had a really cool pep rally. All of our clubs and our sports teams got to go out and show us what they got. So we announced everything, and we had one of the mascots from the Storm Stadium come out there and show us some of their dance moves. So that was pretty cool to get to rally the students together. And so that was really fun. And one of the most amazing things at Paloma has happened, and I've talked to a couple of teachers, Mr. Wilson. He's been working at Paloma for 10 years, and he said it's the most amazing thing that he's ever seen in his 10 years of working at Paloma. And my principal, Mr. Williamson, said that it was the most amazing thing that he has ever seen at all. And he posted a video up on his Facebook. He usually only gets around 600 to 700 likes, and usually, only that? No, but only 600, but no, he posted this video, and it didn't get 600, it didn't get 5,000, but it got 14,000 likes. It got 14,000 views, and it was during the national anthem. So I actually sang the national anthem for Paloma. And during the first assembly, everything went according to plan. Everything went perfect. It was fabulous. However, during the second pep rally, I had a couple of hiccups. So after restarting 3 times, one of the most amazing things I feel ever happened that day. One of my fellow students named Bernard Marshall is actually in the NJROTC program, ran up behind me, put his hand on my shoulder, and started singing the national anthem with me alongside. And when that happened, every student behind me and Bernard started singing the national anthem. And because they did that, every student in front of us started singing the national anthem. So we had 1,800 students simultaneously singing the national anthem. Students faculty, security guards, everyone who was there started singing the national anthem. And it was, I can't even describe to you how amazing that feeling is, to have so much pride in my school that they would just band together and help me out. And it was truly amazing. And there's a video up there. I don't know if you can play it. But yeah, there's a video right there, and that's of the students singing with me. Yeah, it is. I didn't put that in. So yeah, even though I messed up, the entire Wildcat Brigade came together and they banded with me to sing the national anthem. And so Paloma has a lot to offer, and it is truly, in my opinion, one of the best schools to be at. It's everyone there is just like a family, and it's an amazing school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. Trustee Twyman?
From Paris High School, Ashley Jackson and Meliza Vasquez.
It's okay. Good evening, President Nelson and board members. Good evening, Superintendent Greenberg and Cabinet. I am Major Ashley Jackson of Paris High School's JROTC, your school board representative. Unfortunately, Melissa Vasquez couldn't make it with me today. It's been a long week. We've got a lot of homework, so she's missed out, but she'll be back. First off, excuse me for my voice. I lost my voice over the weekend. I've been at JCLC at Fort Irwin all weekend, so bear with me. It has been some time since we last met back in January. Many amazing things have taken place at Paris High School, and to be honest, if I went through every single one of them in detail, we would be here for a very long time. And so since I have homework, that's not going to happen. But trust me when I say that every event that happened, a lot of time, planning, student and staff involvement, fun, hard work, and sweat just went into all the projects that we have. So just to name a few, let's get started. Activities. In January, ASB and the RCOE joined forces to bring awareness to teen drinking and driving in our school. In the first lunch activity, we will focus around a drinking game called Walk the Line. And here to demonstrate is our English teacher and health teacher, Mr. Losino from Paris High School. Mr. Losino here has a device called beer goggles, and the purpose of beer goggles is to demonstrate how the effects of being intoxicated will happen. Mr. Losino. So clearly walking normally is fine. We'll have our students walk normal, and as soon as you put them on, keep in mind, keep going straight. And it really does have an effect because when you put it on, it blurs your vision completely. And so what the point that we want to get across is that walking in a line is just one thing. walking in the line is one thing, but imagine driving, imagine biking, imagine walking across the street. Paris High is on the corner of Nuevo and Paris Boulevard with so many there. And it's just going to give a chance for our students to see the side effects of what it feels like. Thank you, Mr. Lozano. This will show just how a small bit of alcohol will impair judgment. Like Mr. Greenberg already mentioned, we had a calculus competition on March 3rd, March 14th, 2015. And the purpose that we had it that specific day was because pi is an infinite number, but it's 3.1415 and so on and so forth. So March 3rd, 2015. And so it's a one in a lifetime. Ms. Gartel was like, yes, we're doing it this day, guys. She was so excited. Well, a lot of competition. My best friend Keen was in it, and he said it was great. A lot of nerdiness and jokes going for days. Plus held a tolerance forum in the gym that we regularly have to influence our students talk about issues on campus. Open House had our campus full of parents visiting classrooms that we do, and that integrated our parents into seeing the teachers. February, juniors took the CASI. Athletics met with NEFF clothing for a brief, affordable for varsity jackets at Paris High School. Because we're so involved, we want everyone to demonstrate everything that we've been in. Paris Colony helped out at Casino Night at Paris High School. Also, if you look to your left, we decorated the boardroom. This theme this year was designed by student groups, and it's right up there. FAFSA was in full swing, and we made it to 65% completion rate. Thank you. FAFSA, for those of you that know, it's free money for seniors that are trying to go to college, and it's just something that when after graduation, June 10th, when students are, hey, what am I going to do? Oh, it's a little too late. I don't have any money to go. We just really wanted to implement that, and a 65% rate is really great, and we plan to keep going throughout the years. JROTC had its military ball for the first time ever at March Air Force Base. Mrs. Tejeda Van Rensburg gave an amazing speech as our keynote speaker. And to lighten the rolling ball of keep going, we had a week off. Yay! Students and staff donated around 200 units of blood at the live stream blood drive that we held. We hosted over 600 8th graders from Pennicotty Middle School and Innovative Horizons at the 8th grade electives fair to demonstrate some fun things that to look forward to once in high school. Pennicotty and Innovative Horizons came over, and we just gave them a brief description, a bunch of performances, and because of Paris's unique design of old gym and new gym, we were able to switch the two so they could interact, sign up, and it just gives them an idea like, wow, I'm moving from 8th grade to 9th grade, and this is my chance to step up and be involved in high school. Furthermore, in March, the students from our special ed department have been practicing hard with their mentor athletes for the Saturday Sports Challenge at Paris High School at 9 o'clock. So I welcome all of you to please come and support the kids from Heritage, Paloma, and Paris. It's definitely a time to put away competition and come together to support everyone in togetherness and unity. Also on March, the 10th grade CASI was wrapped up today with 589 students taking the test. CASI, I remember those days. On March 13th, Paris High School JROTC attended JCLC. This is a shirt that we've got. If you can read it. It says, the possible that takes time, the impossible just takes a little longer. And we had a lot of schools come from Riverside District. At JCLC, we had 36 students attend, and it's just a time where JROTC can go out to Fort Irwin. We were out there for 5 days, marching around, calling cadence, hence to my voice. 2 students, Vicente Hernandez, won overall male for there, and Victoria Nuno won second place for runner with a 8:36 mile. So it was a really good time for leadership and unity out there at Fort Irwin. I want to thank the board for letting us attend because we did miss a little bit of school, but students are in full-fledged to catch back up. Finally, two major events that took place were the spring sports and Sadie Hawkins pep rally that we held at Paris High School. It marked the first time the spring sports had a pep rally to honor the dedication the athletes show at our school. The dance followed a week later, and the numerous girls were around campus asking their dates to Sadie Hawkins. So it was a little twist. Instead of the male asking the female asked the male. And it was great to see all the creativity that we had. We would like to end tonight's presentation with the video that was played at the prep rally. It was a fun way to see our athletes in action. Enjoy.
Hello, I'm Quan. And I'm Limpy. And welcome to the 2015 Sadie Hawkins Pep Rally.
And we're here to introduce to you your 2015 Spring Sports.
And here's some highlights.
This is Sports Center. Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand.
Our softball team out there were putting in work.
Barbra Streisand.
Josh and Jeremy packed to win at the tennis courts. And our never relentless swim team.
Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand.
And my personal favorite, our varsity boys volleyball.
Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand.
She's with the boy into the bag. Track and field. Thank you. Thank you, and that's Paris High School. As always, thank you for your time and attention. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ashley. Trustee Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now it's time to welcome the outstanding students representative from Pinacari Middle School, Omar Elizondo, Emerald Simalibe, and Nima Hayes. Welcome.
evening, President Nelson, members of the board, Dr. Greenberg, members of the cabinet. I am Omar Elizondo, Pinacati's ASB president. And here with me tonight is Emerald. Thanks for having us here so we can report on some of the wonderful things happening at Pinacati. In February, we did a lot of things to reach out to our parents. First, we had parent conferences. Thanks goes to our counseling department for all of their effort to make our parent conferences a real success on February 5th and 6th. More than 150 parents attended during the 2 days. Our teachers collectively held an estimated 700 to 800 conferences. It was impressive. We also had an open house on February 12th. Thanks goes out to all of our teachers for the great job they did for our open house. The classrooms were inviting, and it was wonderful to see students presenting projects or discussing their work with their parents. It was also nice to see Ms. Kool-Aid, Dr. Raux, and Dr. Greenberg. We appreciate your support. Overall, it was a great evening. On Thursday, February 26th, and Friday, February 27th, we had 2 award ceremonies. More than 400 awards were passed out for GPA and attendance, including 75 Perfect Attendance Award winners and almost 50 4.0 GPAs. The atmosphere was lively as more than 100 parents showed up on Thursday for the 8th grade ceremony, and almost 200 parents attended the 7th grade ceremony on Friday. It was a wonderful event to involve our parents and to recognize our Pumas. We want to thank Paris High School for all that they have done to help our 8th grade students get ready for high school. On Friday, February 27th, over 500 Pumas from the class of 2015 traveled to Paris High School as the first official visit as the class of 2019. Paris High School did an outstanding job welcoming us. Our Pumas were totally pumped up as they signed up for clubs and as they enjoyed an energetic pep rally. Special thanks goes to Paris High School admin and counseling teams, ASB Director Joe Rodriguez, Paris High School club advisors, and students for making the entire trip such a positive experience for us. We also want to thank Counselor Elsa Serafine, who organized the trip. We know that this trip will help us finish the year strong.
On Tuesday, March 3rd, our campus was visited by a couple of bunnies, a goat, and a bunch of panthers, as the Paris High School Agricultural Department came to visit our Pumas during 7th and 8th grade lunch. During 8th grade lunch, roses grown by Paris High School students were given to all of the 8th graders who signed up to join in the Agricultural Department. A huge thanks goes to Mr. Cousins and the Paris High School Agricultural team. We really enjoyed the visit. Pinacati is also doing a lot of things to become a STEM school. Last Friday, March 13th, we had our annual science night. Thanks goes to Mrs. Harris, Mr. Corselli, Mr. Belts, Mrs. Thornton, Mrs. Kingra, Ms. Mueller, Mr. Yu, and Mr. Daniel Morgan for their efforts in planning and hosting our annual science night. An enthusiastic crowd came out to see student-created projects, listen to presentations, and to gaze at the stars. Special thanks goes to former Pinacati teacher and local astronomy expert Ed Simons for setting up a huge telescope. We also want to thank volunteers from the community organizations and, of course, our future Puma scientists who work so hard with their teachers to put on a memorable event. Congratulations again to our science department for putting together a very successful Saturday science camp. 49 students showed up to take part in fun, interactive science labs. We want to thank again our science teachers and Mr. Greg Wise for planning and a great day for our kids.
Finally, in sports, Pumas are 2014-2015 Basketball League champions. Congratulations to our Lady Pumas who beat a tough team from CMI to finish a perfect 9-0 undefeated season and to capture the league title for the first time in many years. The boys also beat CMI to win their second consecutive league title. Puma Nation showed up in force on February 12th at Bob Glass Gym to cheer our Pumas on. Congratulations, Coach Meyer and Coach Al. Great job. Now we have won 3 league championships this year. Puma Soccer is back. The Puma Soccer Club is taking its game to a higher level. Last Wednesday, our girls lost a tough home game against Nicollet 3-1. The boys team dominated their game by winning 3-0. Thanks goes to Coach Eric Anderson, who has put this season together. Our Pumas will have at least 3 more games before the Think Together tournament in May. Go Puma Soccer. This is our report for this month. We look forward to seeing you next time when we will report on more awesome activities. Thank you.
Also, if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask them.
No questions. Omar, thank you.
We would like to we would like to introduce from Pinacati our the students that went to Active Youth Conference.
Good evening. My name is Jaylene, and this is
My name is Diana. My name is Javier Chavez.
and we went to the active youth camp on March 13th. The active youth okay, here you go.
This is just a picture of like a lot of the kids that went, and we're like on the first row. Just going on a camping trip, we had to admit that made many of us nervous. Many of us were actually very scared. We didn't know if we were going to make friends and mix in with the other kids well. We had so many questions. Where were we going to sleep, and what were we going to eat, and who was going to be there?
Javier, this young man right here, was very afraid of heights. He first declined to try ziplining, but after watching his friends, he took the step to face his fear. Here's a video of him.
Shut up.
You got this, Javier.
It's $1 million. What do you think? Stand up straight. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You can do this, Javier. Come
You don't
on.
know.
You don't have to hold on.
Zip line clear.
Oh.
When you feel like it, just push off.
I'm so scared. It's okay. It's okay, Javier.
Don't think about it. Just do it.
Just jump. Just jump.
Do it.
Nothing. Just jump.
Stop talking.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. He's like, put me down. Okay, but you were scared.
As you saw there in the video, he faced his fear, to have the courage to jump and to just face his fears.
While it was our free time, we decided to go on an adventure around the camp. So we were walking with our friends and bumped into a bird cave. The bird cave looked exactly like the rock from the movie The Lion King. So we decided to climb it and act like if we were in the movie. It was a blast. Julie Kelly spoke to us about heroes and leaders. We had to write out the characteristics of what is it to be a leader and a hero. When we then circled the characteristics that we had. She explained that we have the same characteristics as leaders and heroes. We then worked on a personal mission statement and an academic mission statement.
Tools of destruction. This session on Saturday was about what makes a leader, and was presented by Jeremy Bates, but you may know him as the Hope Leader. I learned that there are many tools of destruction. The biggest tool of destruction we have is not a hammer, not a stick, but our words. Our words can be the biggest tool of destruction we have, but you need to turn the light off of those tools and shine the light on the tools of hope. I learned that being drug-free doesn't just help you and your health, but also your family, your friends, and the people around you you care. Both about you and your environment. We have to put away our tools of destruction and pull out the tools of hope to make changes.
Dear soldier. Oh, we were going into a gym. They all. What's that one? I can't see it. What did you do? Oh, they gave us plain paper bags and told us to decorate it after they told us what the bag was, which was a mailbox, so people can write nice letters in the bag at least once a day. We at least the last day we all opened our bags of letters, and they touched our hearts. They were kind in ways and couldn't what's that word? Couldn't know how thoughtful they were.
Here were a couple of them. One of them was from Omar, saying "Stay rad," and there's many more saying, "Hope you had a good time. You're an amazing leader. You got this. You're a great friend. Glad you came."
That was what they were supposed to have. Saying goodbye. As we headed home, we had one more stop to pick up our mailboxes. We made our way around the gym and picked up our bags and read our Dear Soldier letters. Many people were in tears as they read the words of encouragement and friendship shared by people who were strangers just a few days ago, and now we're friends.
Who are we? Who are we?
I am a leader. Yes, I am.
No. Sorry. Okay, let's do it again. Who are we? Who are we? I am a leader. Yes, I am a leader. Thank you for letting us speak here tonight.
Thank you all from Penicotti. Okay, from Paris Lake High School, student representatives Eloy Llamas, Angel Barres, Natalie Sanchez, Yitzo Gonzalez, and Alexis Avila Saldana.
Ready? Good evening, Superintendent and members of the board. My name is Ilo Llamas, and I am currently a junior at Paris Lake High School. And first of all, we just want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to share on the events that's been happening at the lake. With that being said, I'd like to start off with the blood drive. On March 4th, the lake sponsored a blood drive with live stream, and 33 pints of blood were collected. And those who donated also got a free T-shirt with their donation. Also, from February 2nd to March 6th, the lake participated in a leukemia and lymphoma society pennies for patient program, and $100 were raised in the partaking of that. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Avila, and I am a senior at Paris Lake High School. Herb Jones sponsors a ice cream social for perfect attendance. Our principal, Mr. Hauser, and our vice principal, Mr. Barbeau, host a barbecue for students with a GPA 3.0 or higher. And students receive a certificate and tickets for prices.
Good evening. My name is Angel Byris, and I am a senior at Paris Lake High School. On the evening of March 4th, Paris Lake High School hosted a parent night for ELAC, School Site Council, and FAFSA. The FAFSA workshop had an excellent turnout, was a lab filled with both students and parents. Tuesday on March 3rd, several students practiced and participated in our second talent show for this year. We had 6 talented students to showcase their talent for us during lunch, and our first, second, and third place winners were awarded with prizes.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Sanchez, and I am currently a senior at Paris Lake High School. We would like to congratulate the 46 seniors who finished on March 6th, along with 30 more seniors that will finish in the end of March, which will be a total of 76 graduates, in addition to the 18 that graduated in November. We would also like to welcome the 63 students that arrived at the lake this final trimester, and there will be 15 new students arriving as well.
Hi, board. My name's Isel, and I'm here to basically break down what's going down at Paris Lake. So we basically have March Spirit Week all next week. It's from Hippie Day to Dress for Success on Wednesdays, as you can see, because today's Wednesday. And we also have, we have basically job interviews, like for us to, we dress for job interviews. You don't necessarily have job interviews, but, oh my God. Okay, so, and then we also have our senior pinning ceremony on May 13th, and that will be taking place in Pinacati and at 6, and we also have open house next week on Wednesday at 6, I believe, as well. And, well, that's basically what's going down as of activity-wise, and yeah.
We'd also like to give a special thank you to Diane Martin and Marcy Savage for the $17,000 in science supplies.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Trustee Angundez.
Yes, from the California Military Institute, student rep, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Miguel Lopez.
While he's coming up, ladies and gentlemen, Miguel Lopez was the Student of the Month for CMI and was recognized last week, so congratulations.
I wish I could have been there. No, I'm just kidding. Well, to start things off, I'd like to mention that, we hit number 1 in the district for FAFSA completions thanks to Miss Cook. So a round of applause to Miss Cook. I don't think she's here today, but she's, she's an outstanding counselor, and I know that if the seniors didn't have her and the rest of the school didn't have her, that we would be in pieces. And CMI started a coding club in February. We had our first meeting on February 26th, and we're using tutorials on CS first. And our cadets are learning to use the Scratch language. It's the same language that we used for our hour of code last semester. Our military ball was on February 27th. It was also at March Air Force Base Museum, just like Paris High's was, and it was an outstanding ceremony. It's the first year that we've ever had it there, and we hope to stay with them for the next few years. On February 28th, we had the honor of hosting our Interact Assembly. And for those of you who don't know what the Interact Assembly is, many students from all around Southern California gathered at the California Military Institute to celebrate Rotary International and Interact. Rotary International's main mission is to end polio, but they also do a bunch of service stuff all around the world. And as interactors in high school, starting at age 12, we have the opportunity to take part in Rotary International from an early age and are able to not only serve our community, but do other projects such as creating solar cookers to send out to impoverished areas. And there was over 150 students, and 4 of those students were exchange students, one of them from Argentina, one from Germany, one from Taiwan, and one from Nigeria. And that student exchange program is a part of Rotary International, and that's something that those 4 students were enjoying. CMI hosted the annual 9th Brigade Individual Major Awards, and though we placed first in many categories, along with the visiting school, the American Christian Military Academy of Excellence. Our very own Junior Jacob Abriz took first place in Senior Overall Outstanding Cadet, and he will be heading to the state competition to try to win the Stillwell Sabre, one of the most coveted award that the California Cadet Corps can offer. And if everything goes well, he will be the first to win this in the entire history of CMI. On Monday, March 9th, some selected high school drill members and I had the pleasure of visiting Martin Luther King High School to watch the Commandant's own Marine Corps band and the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. And if you've never seen them before, go on YouTube and find them right now because they are amazing. One of the most amazing highlights of the entire ceremony was when the Marines attached bayonets to the end of their rifles and were stabbing in between 2 heads in precision without any commands. So those Marines were absolutely excellent. On Wednesday, March 11th, I had the honor of being selected as CMI's Student of the Month. But I would like to take this moment to again thank all of the sponsors that support the Student of the Month program. It's an outstanding program, and I was able to meet 3 other outstanding students from our district, and I know that they were just as happy to be there as I was. Oh, shout out to Mr. Nichols for speaking on behalf of Colonel Rhodes. And every time I come up here, I love bragging about our drill team, but, you know, they're so awesome, I just can't resist. This past Saturday, they went down to Fontana and took 2nd place Armed Regulation Platoon Drill, but that's not the most important highlight I want to mention. Cadet Sergeant Major Moran Hossein of the California Military Institute took both 1st and 2nd place individual armed exhibition. Now I know by your faces you're wondering, how can one person take 2 spots? Sergeant Major Hossein scored so high, and the person in third place did not score enough points to qualify for 2nd place. So they awarded Cadet Sergeant Major Hossein with both 1st and 2nd place. So he got 2 trophies that day. Yeah. That same day, some of our interactors had the opportunity to head down to Banning for our very first Pride Guide meeting of the year. Now, normally I would explain a Pride Guide as, you know, a RILA alumni, but, you know, I could see that many of you aren't familiar with that. Pride is the Personal Rotary Youth Development Experience, and it's a camp where 7th graders can go down to, I forget the camp, but they can go down there and they learn leadership skills through both speakers and leadership building activities such as games for 2 days up in the mountains. And though they weren't 7th graders, the Pride Guides are very important because they're the students that help set up the entire event, and they basically run the camp along with some Rotarians. However, I wasn't able to be there, although I am a Pride Guide this year, because I was down at Martin Luther King High School again to participate in their 7th annual Sound Off speech competition. Along with fellow cadet Esther Corona and our speech and debate coach, Mr. Nichols. And I had the pleasure of coming in 1st place for that competition, and it was the first time that CMI competed in the competition. So Esther and I were able to open a door for CMI cadets to be able to participate in it for the next years to come, and it's going to be awesome. And one thing I didn't mention earlier was that on March 13th, Friday the 13th, we had our Powder Puff game, and the score ended up tying 20-20, not because we stopped the game, not because we ran out of time, but because the lights went out. What a day. So, but, you know, obviously the seniors won, so go Rough Riders. And now for other sports news. Our boys varsity baseball team won 2nd place in the championship game against Temecula Prep in the 2nd annual Warrior Tournament in Hemet last week. And this Friday, they're having their first league game at Lake Elsinore Storm Stadium. And softball has its first game against Noli Indian Reserve High School on Wednesday. So our Rough Riders, our Interactors, all of our clubs are really excited for the upcoming events. And thank you very much for allowing me to be here, President Nelson, Dr. Greenberg, and members of the Cabinet. Thank you very much for allowing me to represent the California Military Institute today. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Miguel. No other students. I would say tell the students they can go home, but it looks like they beat me to it. So, from CSEA President Claudia Davis.
Good evening, President Nelson, school board members, Dr. Greenberg, and Cabinet. First of all, I would like to give kudos to everyone at Heritage High School for their rapid attention to the incident that happened on Friday, the 13th, okay, on campus. Parents were notified right away, and the staff did what they were supposed to do to keep students and staff safe. Many hours of drills and training have obviously paid off. The district and our negotiations team have gone through IBB training, and from what I hear, both sides are feeling positive about the training and are looking forward to putting it into action. Our chapter secretary, chapter communications officer, and I went to officer skills training pertaining to our new positions this past Saturday. We all took away valuable information to help us in our new positions. We held nominations for three of our members to accompany me to the CSEA conference to be held in Las Vegas from July 26th through the 31st. The voting will take place next month. That's it. Thank you for your attention and have a great evening.
That's it. Thank you, Claudia. PSEA President Paul Clay.
Thank you. I was just looking to see if young Javier was still out there because I was going to tell him that I wouldn't get up on one of those things. And I do appreciate the student contributions to these meetings. Even though it does seem to run along, I think it's very needed to hear their input as well. Barbara Streisand, by the way. We do have several members here, I believe, pulled cards to speak, and I don't want to steal their thunder, but I do want to say that my negotiations team is here to discuss where the issues are with the negotiations right now. And like I said, I don't want to steal their thunder, but I do want to say we have an awful lot of our members here who turned out today. There were still some outside, too. Please give yourselves a hand. Come on. Again, they're all volunteers here on their own time. I do want you to appreciate the fact that they come in because they want to stand together and show you the support that we have for our negotiations team. And with that, I won't say any more because I don't want to steal their thunder. That's for them to thunder about. Again, I have addressed the board in a couple of emails recently about terminated teachers. We do have a situation in which the terminated teachers, again, I am imploring you to take a look at these situations individually. I'd ask you to talk to the teachers because there are circumstances that even I can't relate to you, things that they can tell you about their particular instances, their situations, and I would appreciate it if you would give them your time. Disposal of contaminated waste and blood. It was reported to me by several that there were problems with this. First of all, there's a question as to, for instance, whether or not the special education teachers who have to diaper some children actually have adequate facilities for it, including disposal units that will not create odor in the room and will contain the odor. We have several different situations involving, from time to time, accidents. Students are students too. The people, they have accidents. There's cases of vomiting, and certainly there are There's blood, for instance, at Heritage just last week, or I believe the week before, they actually had to hose down a part of the concrete because of an attack on a student. What is happening with the disposal of these potential pathogens that may be in these contaminants? After asking, I didn't get a response for over a week, and so I did send out my second request on that, and I got a partial response, but I don't think it's satisfactory. Special education. Again, these teachers arguably have some of the toughest and most legally demanding responsibilities in this district, in education, period. Again, they are the ones to face the situation with diapers. But in addition to this, you have to consider that we lost a Heritage teacher who resigned and went to work in San Diego in May or June of last year, and she has not yet been replaced. They attempted with 2 separate teachers, and both of those teachers only stayed for a few days. It's a further indication of the kind of problems that we're facing. It's going to be difficult to recruit special education teachers. Always a shortage of special education teachers, just like physics teachers. If we can't attract them by our pay, which is an issue, we're not attracting them for other circumstances. I mean, one teacher, I understand, was here 3 or 4 days before they left, and that speaks volumes in my word. PE, health, and geography. These 3 classes are linked because of the suggestion of doing away with geography, taking health and shortening it and inserting it in the PE classes, and therefore also shortening the PE classes themselves. This will reduce, as Mr. Bennett had said, through attrition. He talked about through attrition, it would reduce the number of teachers in those areas. I'm concerned that it will be further diminishing the standards that we had for this school district, the standards that we expected of these students to have a good understanding of health, a good understanding of geography, and an adequate full 2-year program in PE, which we aren't going to be having apparently. Along with that, one high school is talking about going to a trimester system. That's Paris High School. One of the truths about this district is our students are very mobile, and they go from high school to high school to high school. So if they're at one school that has a semester system and they transfer to a trimester system, it's going to goof them up. You know, it's a counselor's nightmare. What class do they put them in? Vice versa. If they're in a trimester class and they go to a semester school, it's also going to be a handicap. But aside from that, we also consider it as a very serious change of working conditions that has not been negotiated. As we are in negotiations right now, we are not doing any side letters. We're not doing any negotiating away from the table, and I feel this has to stop. Possible mold at PHS. In the ELA building, which is only, I believe, 4 years old, there is the concern from many members, and they've expressed it for a while, that there's some kind of atmospheric problem there resulting in respiratory and other diseases. And they expressed that to the administration. They expressed it to me. I went through and I checked, and the most likely culprit I see is a bunch of water that appears to be draining down from the air conditioners on the second floor. So that's my recollection. That wasn't happening on the first floor. It wasn't happening in the other buildings that are similarly designed, just there. And it's ironic that that's where they're talking about it the most, is those 2 floors there where the walls are quite covered with it. And as far as the bombs at Heritage, we were first told a lot of things. There was a lot of backtracking on whether or not it was a bomb. It definitely was classified by the police as a bomb, an explosive device, technically. But in addition, we were told originally that there was one, and I have inquired as to whether or not there were more, because the students seemed to know already that there were more. They were telling me this today. And I had, in turn, asked the administration for clarification on this, and of course, there was no response. Security at Heritage is still porous. Of the high schools, it's the only one that does not have a complete fence all around the circumference. Now, I know two of the members of the board, 2 of the trustees, walked with me around there, and I pointed out several other problems with both discipline and security there, and it continues. It continues. These are continuing, ongoing problems. While I was there, and I do recognize right now, and I will say this, that it was handled right when the emergency came up, from everything that I know at this point. My concern is the lateness in notifying us when we were getting told by our students what was going on, the fact that I, as president, was not informed when in almost every other emergency, Dr. Greenberg, and I will say this, has contacted me almost immediately. You know, I don't know how fast he contacts the board members, but I think I might have been in most of those cases shortly after notifying you. And in this case, I found out, like everybody else, through an email that came out more than an hour after we went through lockdown, and I don't think that's acceptable. I thank you for your time, and again, I hope I didn't steal the thunder of too many of the other people in the audience here who feel like speaking, but please do listen to their concerns, okay? Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on agendized and non-agendized items. Members of the audience are invited to address the Board of Trustees on items not listed elsewhere on the agenda. Agenda items may be discussed at the time they are considered by the board. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the Board of Trustees and staff's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes unless the Board of Trustees grants additional time. Those wishing to address the Board of Trustees should step up to the speaker. Preference shall be given to those persons who have submitted a request to address the Board of Trustees forum. We have 4. First one is Tony DeMauro on teacher salaries.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the board. First, to note, you cannot put students first by putting teachers last. Making teachers a low priority is exactly what the administration is doing. Teachers are frustrated. They are frustrated that district administration is making offers that are unacceptable. The district currently wanted to give only a 1.25% retro to July 1st. 2014 and close off negotiations for 2015-2016 with what amounts to a 1.3% raise. That does not include 2 permanent calendar days. We are now in March. It has taken 8 months of negotiating to get to 1.25%. This is ridiculous. Last year was the only year we've had a salary increase since our superintendent has been here. All the previous years were gloom and doom recession years. It comes down to the value placed on teachers. Teachers are not feeling valued. While morale has improved a little bit over the past few years, when it comes to big issues such as contract negotiations and salary increases, the district devalues its teachers. Teachers are working harder to implement new programs, Common Core and NGSS, all on our own time without any extra pay. We are frustrated when district cabinet members characterize a 10% salary increase for employees as fiscally impossible, that such a raise would cause the district to become insolvent. We disagree. By the district's own numbers and reports, the district could have easily given 10% or more over the last few years. We have compiled some of the most important information, and we want to share it with you briefly. A 1% salary increase, including health and benefits for the year, costs a little less than $370,000. A 10% increase raise, therefore, costs about $3.7 million. This is a greater cost for a raise than the previous several years. According to interim reports, audited and unaudited, and actual reports for the last several years, the district has had a surplus every year by a substantial amount. Last year, 2013-2014, the district had close to $9.7 million left over at the end of the year in their budget, and that was after the Chromebook rollout and the 4% raise we already had. In 2012-2013, when we had furlough days and a pay cut, there was $11 million left over. In 2011-2012, also furlough days, pay cut, recession year, the district had $8.4 million left over. Again, enough for a 10% raise. In 2010-2011, the district had $12 million left over. Based on historical spending, there were more than enough funds for a 10% raise every year. You can see why we're frustrated and angry when the district acts like a 1.25% is a respectable and tantalizing offer. The district wants to increase the reserves to 6 to 7%. This pot of money just by itself represents an 8% raise for employees.
Mr. DeMauro, can you wrap it up? It's supposed to
Yes,
have 3 minutes.
The district must stop trying to make our salary increase contingent upon us giving the rights and work conditions. When the district cabinet gets a raise, the only thing that changes on the cabinet member's contract is the amount they are paid and not the terms of their employment. Neither should ours be changed. Be aware, we are already working more for the very nature of the changes to our job with Common Core, dual enrollment, and student growth. The district should want to increase salary to remain competitive. Last paragraph. District administration is constantly telling employees that there is always room for improvement in their teaching and their work. The same goes for the district leadership. They need to improve on last year's negotiation, last year's salary increase. The district has the ability to prioritize teachers. They just don't have the desire. The bottom line is that you cannot put students first by putting teachers last. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On the subject of teachers, Jason Miller.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I will repeat what Mr. DeMauro said. You cannot put students first by putting teachers last. I stand behind and support what was said tonight concerning teachers' frustrations. We are asking that the superintendent and his cabinet place a greater value on teachers than what is being shown inside and outside of negotiations. We ask that the board find out information for themselves about the true value of employees throughout this district, because I know this board does care about the teachers, and we have the best teachers on the planet. Most of the top-level administrators make $100,000 plus per year, some even close to $200,000, and $500 monthly car stipends. This shows value towards administrators. Please start showing value to our teachers and classified staff. They all deserve the money that is being held back. Thank you.
Thank you. On the subject of morale, Barbara McKenna.
Dear board members, I'd like to address what is the perception of the many of the teachers that what appears to be such an adversarial and almost disdainful stance of the district towards the teachers. The district's offer for many multiple meetings was utterly unacceptable. And now the offer of 1.25% is absurd, considering the amount of funds that the district has available. I've been with the district for 20 years, and it wasn't always like this disdainful, almost contemptuous attitude that was perceived by the teachers on the attitude of the district. It's been in the past 6 or 7 years that this attitude has become so prevalent, and it's time for a change, that there's going to be respect given to the teachers again, just like we deserve it. Thank you.
Mary Clifton, you're talking about graduation requirements. That is an agendized item. Do you want to speak now or speak later? You may speak now if you wish, but it is an agendized item. So, okay. Mary Clifton on graduation requirements.
So, I am Mary Clifton. I was at Paris High School for 19 years, and though I didn't graduate, I moved on to Heritage when it opened. I was hired in August of 1988 to teach a class that had never been offered before. There was no curriculum, no textbooks, no materials. I created everything that we needed for the class: assignments, notebooks, quizzes, projects, all activities, and I did it at a very minimal price also. 26 years and more than 10,000 kids, and we continue to offer a viable personal health drug education course. It's a favorite class among many of the teenagers at school. There have been constant rumors for the past 5 years that the course is going to be canceled, that it doesn't fit the A through G requirements for the UC-CSU system. And now you have a proposal before you to change the graduation requirements, and in so doing, the health class will be combined with the freshman PE class. This means that my curriculum is being reduced by a third. I cannot fit everything into the 18 weeks now. You want to cut and paste and create a viable course that's only 12 weeks long. I question that. So in a period of history where our kids sit for long hours watching Netflix, YouTube, and playing video games, a time where our meals are supersized and our kids are overweight and being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at an alarming rate, we're going to take away 12 weeks of their PE class. At a time when bullying pushes classmates to bring guns to school and shoot fellow students, we are reducing the only class that addresses stress and ways to handle anger and teaches coping skills. At a time when the birth rate from our zip code remains on California's top 10 teen pregnancy list, we're pushing for a freshman to take more A through G requirements. When suicide is ranked the second leading cause of death among teenagers, and when drugs come to our campuses every single day, not only marijuana, but meth, ecstasy, Vicodin, Oxycontin, cocaine, and even heroin is around us all the time. The plan to reduce the time we spend warning kids of their dangers. Now, maybe these decisions are really out of your hand. Maybe it is what the state of California is telling us that we have to do. But I believe that it is a disservice to our kids and to our parents to reduce the health class and reduce the PE class. Our health class helps freshmen transition into high school and gives them life skills that they can take with them when they graduate and move on into the adult world. Now, since my time's limited, I brought a chart because this proposal creates another problem that I thought I would share with you. Regular classes, 5 periods at 36, have 180 students. I've always taught a semester class, so I have 10 classes at 36 students. I have double the amount, 360. But the new trimester class that's being proposed is 3 groups of 5 periods, which comes out to 540 students. It's a 50% increase. So I'm asking for a 50% raise.
Thank you, Mary. And on the subject of lockdown, Andy Weinberger. I'm sorry, Adam Weinberger. I'm sorry.
I'll go with Andy. I didn't come here prepared to speak, but I felt I had to. I was there at the lockdown on Friday, and I've seen a lot of lockdowns, and honest to say, it was a pretty flawless from the top to the bottom, with all staff doing their part in keeping the safety of the kids and the staff. The security staff locked down that campus under 5 minutes, and Heritage is huge. And I don't think we need to talk about when we're notified or of the lockdown. I think we should talk about refresher training for the staff, for teachers who were letting kids out of the lockdown, for teachers that weren't covering their windows, for substitutes who were going about business not aware of the procedures of a lockdown. So I think that's where we need to focus. For refresher training for all staff, and for substitutes as they sub in our classes, because like Dr. Greenberg said, it probably will happen again. So, but it was a flawless lockdown on the staff of Heritage, and everyone pulled together. And I think anytime there's no injuries and everyone is safe, I think is a job well done among all. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, we have consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
As amended, I'm sorry. As amended. I do need a second for the motion.
I second.
Okay. Jose. Okay, this is for the consent calendar as amended. Please vote. Okay, thank you. Okay, introduction of promoted and/or new employees.
None. Thank you, Mr. President.
Information item, local control accountability plan update. That would be you, Marcy.
So, good evening, Board President Nellison and board members, Dr. Greenberg, Superintendent, Cabinet. We don't have any students left. Students, staff, and school community, thank you for just giving me a couple minutes to do an update on LCAP. We're going to dig in. We're going to have fun because this is what we're here all about. It's about student outcomes, student improvement, student growth, student achievement. So let's go through this real quick. I want everyone to know where we are with Local Control Accountability Plan. As you know, last year, new funding came about, a new funding formula, which allowed us more local control and in making decisions and in assigning money to our most neediest of students. Paris Union High School District, the LCAP is extremely, we have three goals. One is to be transparent and that it's clearly understood by all. And by all, I mean every stakeholder out there who's involved. It also is focused on student needs and highly focused on improved outcomes, student outcomes. There's three categories within the LCAP, and the first one being the conditions of learning. And I just want to brief everyone on this because these are, when we do our annual review, our annual survey update on the LCAP, these three categories are extremely important. Conditions of learning include implementation of state standards. It's also course access as well as just basic services. Student outcomes include not only student expectations, but student performance and student achievement. The engagement of students and parents, we can never underestimate the power of parents and students. They need to be the most critical, most involved stakeholders in the development of the LCAP as well as year 2, the year we're in. And this means parent involvement or parent engagement in numerous ways, student participation, and school climate. So there's three basic questions that we really focus in on, and it's the first one being, how do we gather the input? This is a phenomenal task. Last year, for those of you who were present during the development of the LCAP Year 1, if you remember, we did numerous forums. I think every month we were doing 1 to 2 different sessions and getting the information, just what is LCFF, what is LCAP out there. And with that, we kind of really focused on our students, our parents, our staff, and community partners. What we found through last year were parents and students, as well as site, the staff and administration said, you know what, one of our goals is to connect, is to improve connectedness as well as relationships. Let us take it back to the school sites rather than it always be central office kind of governed. It really needs to become very personal and very unique to the specific sites. So with that, a lot of roundtable discussions, a lot of workshops, parent advisory groups are continuing, student clubs, even just one-on-one conversations are occurring in regards to the review of LCAP goals, what's happening at the particular sites, what's happening at the district. We will continue to do student and staff surveys. We'll continue to do parent and school community surveys. We'll continue to do forums and presenting at the board meetings, as well as using our media, tech, mail, phone, whatever we need to do to get the message out there and to get that input. It's vital. So a couple months ago, board members, I gave you a list of each school district each site has presented when they, bless you, okay, has listed when they hold their advisory meetings. And I want you to know this is not an all-inclusive. This is just to let you know when those meetings are occurring. It's an open invite to those who want to come learn more about the school site and the district, student achievement towards our goals. Because they're all talking about what have we done well, and let's celebrate that, and what are our gaps, and really prioritizing what are our goals, how to review them, doing a needs assessment. Input is vital, is extremely, extremely important. When I say this is not an all-inclusive stakeholder meeting kind of notification, meaning that other things are happening as well. Even your PTAs are addressing LCAP as well. So this is a revised as of Monday, right? As of Monday. Yeah, it feels like, okay. So, and we'll keep you updated on it. Also, just to let you know, every school site really needs to be applauded because they post their parent advisory meetings and minutes and agendas, so you can pull up on any one of their websites and obtain those. Okay, so the second question is, how are we monitoring progress? How do we measure that progress? And I just put here metrics, because what we did, and it's in your handout, I didn't want to list it up here, are just there's a sheet that says these are just, it looks like this, metrics, just to name a few. We took last year's LCAP and identified all the metrics that we will be doing a needs assessment on in order to write the LCAP for this year. And these are just a few. And then behind that is a sample of the type of data that we use, each school site has a folder. We input a lot of data into that. They pull that data up so they have the district as well as their particular site information. Third question, so what has been done? Now this looks like a pretty basic little grid. So what we have to start kind of simple in a way because we really do need to look at trends over the year. So as you can see, we have students with disabilities, that's the SWD, these are the focus groups, English learner, foster, low income, and we have added African American. And primarily because even though that subgroup is not significantly high in number, it is an area that we need to pay attention to because of the gaps in student performance. So we're also gender. If you've read in the new board policies, gender has become a very hot issue. Gender across all sporting events, gender in every single club, gender is quite a focus point at this point. Equity of gender is what they're looking for, but that data is quite interesting to see. So we go through each goal, and we look at the data, and the district does this as well as a district overview, and then the sites do it on an individual site basis. And they determine from each goal if things were fully implemented, all the actions and services, or were they partially, or were they not implemented at all. They also note what are the areas that we've really grown in and what constituted that, what helped influence such improved outcomes, or why are we still seeing gaps? And justifying using, which is hard for a lot of us to write justifiable summaries. It can't just be that subjective, pull it from the air anymore. It has to be that your data shows it, you've used research, et cetera, to write the next steps and actions. So this is just a sample. We started with district attendance and have not completed this, but these are the types of grids that we will provide for each site and are currently doing that as we speak. We've taken it back to where a group of us will be meeting with each site on a regular basis to help do this data analysis and needs assessment, because it's a very arduous task. And they have a lot on their plate, but it's a very arduous task. And I want you to remember back to that transparency focus, that this kind of data has to be transparent for all parents and students. And actually, they're the great evaluators of such. So let me just review. This is where we are. Right now, they're reviewing each goal and the progress towards reaching each goal. That review consists of an assessment of the effectiveness of all the actions that they determined. And we will begin to compile that information to develop a district LCAP. But during this process, every single site administrator sitting in this room deals with WASC, deals with developing a single plan for student achievement, as well as their LCAP and their SARCs and et cetera, et cetera. All of this should be not just one and the same, but it should be saying the same message. They should all be saying we're working towards the same goals, et cetera. So we're really learning or trying to improve and merging all of that together for them. The ultimate goal, just to share with you, is truly for all of our students to graduate from high school and continue on in college and be prepared for college and career. That's a big goal. So here's a kind of a semi-LCAP timeline. And there's a lot of overlapping because all of us are kind of at different levels of this. Between January and March, you can read some of the things that are going on. February and April, it's a lot of work. It's very intense data disaggregation, getting it out to the stakeholders, getting that information out, getting their input. So that determination of needs and supports is kind of one of the last pieces after you do the needs assessment and articulation of how well have we reached the goals from year one. March through May, we'll continue to do the same thing. There'll be all the goals must align with the actions align with the goals. There's a lot of reciprocity, as well as the funding needs to align with those goals. It's not a wish list. It's not like, we have $20,000 and we can buy rabbits. No, we just can't do that. I mean, it has to be justifiable. I'm looking at Candace because I'm thinking, you don't buy rabbits, do you? You just buy two. Yeah, I did. I did cats, rabbits, goats, whatever. Okay. It has to be justified based upon a needs assessment. And then in May and in June, we will just keep updating you, but we will be working with RCOE because RCOE submit to RCOE. We also submit to the governing board for your review, questions, suggestions, input, and hopeful approval, and move on from there. So with that, just to refresh you, we have 4 very big goals. All students will attain proficiency in all academic content areas. All students will graduate from high school prepared for post-secondary and career. All schools and departments will provide a safe and positive environment for staff and students, and to secure and strengthen our homeschool community connections and communications. Okay, so that's an update where we are today. Any questions?
Yes, I do have a question, Ms. Ash. First of all, I want to say excellent and really interesting graph, the way that you set it up.
Oh, the time.
Yes, and it is really important how you mentioned to analyze the data, not only to look at it, identify the trends and the patterns, and most importantly, develop an action plan to see what we are going to do in order to address the areas of concern. My question is, besides the parameter of attendance that you show us, what are the other parameters that we use to measure specific student achievement?
Okay, so if you'll refer to We have A through G, we have attendance, we have discipline. I can go through this numerous list, but what I did was I listed it so that these are the metrics we'll be looking at, all the way from the units of study, grades. For example, even right now, every 6-week grading period, grades are sent out to site administration for them to pull together and begin to disaggregate by content area. Where are we missing this? And then to work with their teaching teams as well through the PLCs, the professional learning communities, on developing ways, are there things, do we need to do a spontaneous prerequisite class to help kids get up and over? They're also doing grades in comparison of last year first semester, this year first semester, same with attendance. A lot, so it's listed here, the CAPA, the CASP, the CASI. In special ed, they use Ed Performance, and so those will be some comparative things as well, because students with disabilities, that's a big, huge category for us to focus on. Dropout rates, AP, CTE, dual enrollment, so I can go through here, all the way down to, gate identification. The other thing we also use on our data polls is when we're looking at numbers of students in clubs. I had mentioned gender. We look at open house, back to school night turnout, parent-teacher conference turnout. Those numbers are really crucial for us. Different events like what Mr. Morgan had presented tonight, just how many parents came, what is the population for African American representation at a site, and how many of those parents were present. How can we build upon that? So a lot of scrutiny, pretty intense. It's fun, but it's very intense.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a comment. Don't run off. So first of all, it was short and concise. I really enjoyed your presentation, and you hit all the things that you needed to hit. Now, one thing that I'm often concerned about, because we talk about all this stuff, and are we getting the parents involved? Well, we are, according to my parent, that very successful parents, or her students are very successful in this district, and she's my go-to person. I don't know why we were talking about the LCAP, but we were today. And she said, oh, yes, we're so organized and this and that, and she's so happy about being included still. She was real high on that before. And now, mind you, this parent had a student that graduated from Paris and was valedictorian, and the other student went to the academy as well as, I guess, Paris as well. But he was in the top. Her daughter, I guess, graduated in the top in Pinacate. Yeah. Well, anyway, and then she's at Paris High School now, and I know that she's going to do real well there. So this is an involved parent at all levels. She's served on a lot of committees everywhere. When I met her, she was in the elementary district as well at the high school district, but she served in a lot of committees. So what she says, I listen, because she's someone that knows, and she's, thumbs up on you involving the parents, which to me is key, because people struggle. I mean, you'd be surprised. They try to get parents to come out and all that, and she says, "No, we always have plenty of parents' input." So, thank you, and congratulations.
I do have to tell you, we have a lot of room to improve in that. Parents have other priorities in their life, and one of them is just tending.
But you provide all these little things, these little tricks about getting parents out, child care, how about, water, or
food.
coffee, or,
food.
Or, whatever, But you're doing all those things, and some other districts are not doing that, and they struggle. Well, anyway,
and I have
you're
to
doing the
commend our
right thing.
sites,
Yeah.
Because our sites have been so persistent in getting the parents there and finding as many ways. When you go to a FAFSA night, or when you go just even to a college fair and you see the wonderful excitement, that just really, those are the types of things.
Well, kudos to
thank you.
to the work.
Everyone.
Okay, everyone. Mm.
Thank you, Marcy. If it's okay with the board, we can take a 10-minute break and stretch our legs, and we can come back in about 10 minutes. All right. All right. Let's continue this meeting, shall we? We have information item, discipline suspension report. We're up to... No, that was an information item. Suspension report was an information item. We're up to 13.1, curriculum minus the CMI safety plan.
This is the amended.
This is the amended portion. So I need a motion for the item minus CMI.
I make a motion.
Okay, Jose?
So moved.
Ed?
I mean, second.
A second.
I was late.
Okay. Anybody need any information on this? Safety plans? Okay. Please vote. Okay. Action item, approval of the 2014-15 second interim financial report with a positive certification of the Paris Union High School District's financial condition.
So moved.
Thank you. And? Carolyn. Okay.
Good evening, President Nelson, Greenberg, Cabinet, and the Board. I have some time to present to you the Thank you, Joseph. We can do this. So we're presenting the second interim financial report. I'll do my best to be as brief as I have in prior presentations to you. I know it's been a long board meeting, and there's a few things in here that are fairly important to try and communicate with you. So I'll do my best to outline those specific points of importance and try and give you as much time as is appropriate for the presentation. So at this point, we have the budget and NYP assumptions that are being used. We're continuing to use the assumptions that are recommended by School Services of California. We have the LCFF gap funding, the COLA, the STRS rates, and the PERS rates. I do have the 2017-18 numbers up there because I am starting to work on the next fiscal report. What you should notice, though, here is that the CalSTRS and CalPERS rates are continuing to climb fairly drastically within, the next 3 years, 4 years. We have almost a 5% increase. So what I have for you is the unrestricted general fund summary. What we start with is the beginning balance for our second interim report. Please note that the beginning balance is the ending balance of the prior year. So again, this year we started out with $6.2 million, which was the ending balance from the 2013-14 school year. As we're working through that, what you'll notice is that we have the expenditures. We have the net increase or decrease. Currently this year, we still have a deficit spending. As we're ongoing, we do have the 15-16 and 16-17 currently show as an increase to the ending fund balance. That again is because we haven't identified some of the goals through the LCAP to be able to work with those expenditures. We have the total ending fund balance identified after looking at the beginning balance, the expenditures, and the revenues. What you should note also is that we're identifying the specific things that are within the LCFF that have a restricted dollar amount to them, things that we have something specific to spend on. So within the LCAP, we're identified to spend on some of the Common Core mandated costs, or we're talking about the supplemental or concentration or CTE funds. Finally, you have the net ending balance. What you should note right here is that we're currently at 5.47% at our ending balance. We're required by the county to maintain a 3%, and that's the minimum requirement. We must keep at least that as our ending fund balance. As we go in, there's a definite comparison between the old revenue limit and the new LCFF funding formulas. What we should identify is that the revenue limit, we used to have a COLA as our increase. That increase was always available for negotiations. The categorical programs, the federal, state, and local categoricals were not necessarily available. In the old revenue limit, we had two different funds. We had a Fund 03 and a Fund 06. The Fund 06 we never really talked about because that was that restricted fund. At this point now, if we jump over to the LCFF funding model, they've taken a lot of the old categorical funds and they pushed it into our Fund 03. So our general fund, because we have the flexibility to spend it in certain ways according to the priorities in which we are identifying as a district, as a committee. So some of those funds that used to be the restricted funds from Fund 06 are now sitting in our Fund 03, our general fund. So we have some issues with regard to how we can spend our general fund dollars. So at this point, we identified that the base grant amount is typically that increase that we were receiving for the next 7 years going on. That is available for the negotiations. Then we have that targeted fund, the supplemental, the concentration, the CTE monies that are used in support of the LCAP for those targeted students that the state is identifying specifically need to be addressed. And again, that's the non-negotiated. Generally, it says generally non-negotiated. We do have instances where some districts, and we have the opportunity to be able to use some of that restricted money through the LCAP, but that would be the situations where you had an increased school day, or you have multiple day or more days in the calendar. So if you increase the amount of time you're spending with the students, it's justifiable. If you're extending the number of days that teachers are working, then it's also justifiable in that type of situation. So right here we have the funding summary. So in
Mr.
the previous,
Rabin, could I ask you? Can you go back to the last slide just real
Sorry,
quick? One more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just real quick, I think it's really important. Chris said something very important, but the difference in the old funding model and the new funding model. And so when we used to show the board and our stakeholders our unrestricted general fund ending balance as an example, that used to exclude all of those restricted funds that Mr. Rabing talked about. And so that's why he's got the lines in there that show the amount within the unrestricted general fund that need to be reserved for either mandated costs, the Common Core money, or the supplemental concentration and CTE. And so you can see, as an example, in 15-16, if you look at supplemental and concentration, there's $4.1 million. And those dollars are targeted to improve student outcomes. They are not available for general spending like our former standalone Fund 03 used to be. So we kind of changed the way the multi-year looks because we wanted to have that stand out because it's very important to notice. Thank you. Sorry, I told you I wasn't going to interrupt, and then I did.
Well, that's okay. Then I'm interrupting her and interrupting you. So a reminder to everybody then that money can only be used to improve student outcomes. And what Hemet and Corona Norco, Riverside Unified, what they did is they extended the amount of contact time students have with teachers. That's the only way they can touch that money. Otherwise, that money has to be spent on targeted programs, from increasing counselors to doing a multitude of things, sending counselors out to the homes to try to encourage kids to come to school more, a plethora of things that you can do. But you cannot spend that money for negotiated agreements. And that's really important and something I think that's been missed by some people in the district.
Thank you, guys. So as they're discussing the LCFF funding summary, we can see that the top items, that would be the one-time mandated cost carryover that came from this year that we haven't yet identified something specific to spend it on, or the one-time mandated cost the governor is talking about presenting in next year. Those mandated costs of almost $2.2 million have a specific requirement for them. We also have the supplemental concentration of the $3.3 million and the CTE funds that are available as well. Again, all $4.171 million of that is that supplemental concentration CTE. Those identified amounts that we have a requirement to spend, or if you look the totaling of all of that set aside that are restricted is that 6.3. The other part of it, the base grant amount of that $3 million, that's the amount that we look at having as a general unrestricted type of feel to it if you wanted to relate it back to prior funding types. So as we continue on, in looking at the LCFF, we have additional considerations. We have the statutory increases. So currently in the CSEA bargaining units, we have the step increases, we have the health and welfare increases that were negotiated, and then we have the increase to CalPERS that the governor has inputted into the budget. Then if you look at the PSEA, we again have the step increases, we have the health and welfare increases, and again that STRS increase is something very significant to us as it continues to work through. And then again, you have the same thing with the management and confidential bargaining unit. So at this point of that base grant money, we have statutory costs of $1.9 million of it already spent just because of what's happening with the health and welfare increases, the step and column increases, and then that governor's increase to the STRS and the PERS rates. So I have a simple graph or calculation for you here. It just talks about the base grant less the statutory increases, leave us about $1.088 million. We do look at that point what the cost of a 1% increase for any one of our bargaining units are. Typically, we're looking at as a whole what the increase would cost to raise salaries by 1%. Our district cost would be $507,000 to increase our salaries by 1% in the district. So at this point, in the future, what we're looking at doing is looking at next steps. We're looking for the positive certification as a recommendation. Following this, we have the governor's May revise that we'll be looking at. If there's any changes to his current budget, we'll be able to come back and have some other increases. What we, Ms. Savage has talked about is the continued communications with the community and the LCAP process. We also have to identify what we're spending that Common Core mandated cost money on. So that's still coming up to be able to put into our budget. Any negotiated compensation increases will also go into our budget. And then finally, our final presentation for after the governor's budget will come in June. And then following that enacted state budget, we'll have 45 days to finalize.
And everybody knows there's still $2 billion more in Sacramento, and nobody knows what Governor Brown is going to recommend to the legislature or what they'll finally decide. But clearly, we'll see how that money comes to us. If it comes restricted, if it comes to Common Core, if it reduces the gap, none of us really know for sure.
Wonderful. Do you guys have any questions for me? I apologize for going so long, but is there something I can answer for you at this point? All right, wonderful. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Okay, please vote on that. Okay. Okay, here's the big one, huh? Action item, Board Policies, Instruction Series 6000. I need a motion.
So moved.
I second.
Okay. information.
Yes, Mr. Bennett is just on his way up to the podium. We will frame this again. A reminder to the governing board that Grant came and spoke to you at the last board meeting, and we are strongly recommending the elimination of geography. There still will be AP human geography. There's a teacher at Paloma Valley who teaches it and gets tons of kids to sign up for it. And of course, health would become part of physical education. And as a reminder, that's where most districts have gone in this county and this state. And one of our metrics is improving A through G. So clearly, we feel very strong about it. And Grant, I know you had some prepared comments as well.
Well, thinking back to the presentation on A through G, that's how we're going to be judged on a lot of what we're doing. And we were not aligned with that, with what our graduation requirements were. So we looked at that and determined the courses that weren't going towards A through G, and that was geography and health. And really, the geography class won't be totally eliminated. It'll become an elective class. And I've already had teachers come in, because whether it's no longer a graduation requirement and only an elective, they want to revise the class because they don't feel like it's meeting the needs of the kids. So I've already had them in working on that to revise it. They want to make it a more dynamic class that would attract kids to that course. So moving it to an elective, that they're working towards that already. We're one of two districts that had geography as a graduation requirement going in right now. Just us and Val Verde were the only two. Paris, huh? Only in Paris.
Only in Paris.
And I'm not sure if I shared with you the background behind why the geography course was brought in. When I was principal at Paris High School in 2000, back then there was a CST test for ninth graders in history and geography, and our students were doing poorly. They weren't doing well on that CST test. Well, the county came in and worked with us as an IIUSP school, immediate intervention underperforming school program. And they recommended we bring that course in, and that's when we devised the course and brought it in. But they did away with that CST test now for the freshman kids. Now we don't even have a social science CST SBAC test. We just have English and math. So the course has kind of run its course, I guess.
Run its course. That's good.
That it served its purpose. That's why we had it in place. But now it's a time we need to look at revising what we're doing, because we're going to be judged as a district and schools on how many kids we have meeting those A through G. And with that foreign language or fine art, that's having kids not be able to meet those A through G requirements because it's not part of the graduation requirement. So the recommendation here is to remove those courses as graduation requirements and make health into the PE class and geography as an elective. There'll still be a G elective, which could help the kids with college entrance, but it didn't meet one of the A electives, which the history classes do.
Right. And just, as a social studies teacher, and I don't think I'm this only social studies teacher in this room, but as a social studies teacher, you can't teach history without teaching geography. So geography will still be part of our curriculum. It'll just be incorporated into social studies. And I think, as Grant has said about health before, health will go from 18 weeks to 12 weeks. But that's the way it's done other places, and we're more than willing to actually pay our health teachers to come in and help us redesign the course, how it's going to work.
I have a plan in place already to have them come. Any teacher that's interested in coming in and working on it, we'll get a sub for them. We'll have them come in. We'll work on redesigning the course to meet the needs of the kids. For the most important thing, a lot of what we do, the adults get in the way of what's important for the kids. And designing a course that's going to meet the needs of the students and help them move forward. I've gone out to every school and I've met with the social studies teachers at the schools, and really their biggest concern was, is somebody going to lose their job? And I stressed to them, no one's going to lose their job. We're not laying anybody off because of these changes. And that's when they talked about wanting to revise the course when I was out at Paloma Valley. And then I've also met with all the health teachers out at the schools. Been out to Miss Clifton had the biggest concern. Every other health teacher felt like they could work with it and make it happen within the 12-week period.
So it's realistically you can get 18 weeks into a 12-week class. You think feel that way?
Right. They're going to have to revise maybe how long they're doing certain things, but the topics that they're required to cover, they can meet that in a 12-week period. And I also Ms. Clifton talked about a lot of students want more because they enjoy her class, and I suggested to her is we could have her come in and write a advanced health course, which kids as an elective and get it into a G elective, and kids could choose to take that class as one of their elective courses also.
So basic health will be required essentially as part of PE.
Right.
And then they would be able to take extra health class as an elective, and that would be an 18-week course?
We'd have to sit down and design it. It could be 18 weeks. It could be 36 weeks. It depends on how the people that are going to write the advanced course would design that.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I said this to the board members individually, and I don't mind saying it publicly. I cannot think in my 8 years of one vote that is more critical for this governing board than to approve this recommendation. This is about students. It's about A through G. And, as far as the adults are concerned, all the teachers, the administrators, we'll all figure it out. We'll all make it work. But really, if we're trying to increase students' ability to take foreign language and fine arts beginning in 9th grade in our district, so they get their taste of Spanish, they get their taste of art or ceramics, they get their taste of the kinds of things that they need to do and be successful in order to not only complete high school but be ready for college. To me, I can't emphasize to the board enough how important this vote is from the perspective of the superintendent.
Turn your mic on.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Well, they're locked together because they're each a semester class. So they've been taught in this district as you take health first semester, geography the second, or vice versa. Every single student.
Yeah, I'm talking about fine arts and foreign language.
Right. That's our current graduation requirement, has them locked together as in one category. With this change, they'd be separated. So they'd have one year of a foreign language, 1 year of a fine art. They'd be required to do both.
So what the students aren't going to be taking, underwater basket weaving. We really are going to have them work with our counselors to get them in to those more rigorous classes.
But every college looking for underwater basket weaving.
Only at USC.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
It's true, but sorry, Fred.
Do we have any more questions?
I just have a comment. Right. I was reading the mission statement of the Perris Union High School District, and basically the mission statement is what we do here at Perris Union High School. Sorry.
It's his master's in governance training coming.
And it is to provide quality educational programs and meaningful opportunities for our students so that can translate into helping them become productive members of society. I think this decision in making this change, since it's based on data analysis as a result of the program that we did with our RCOE, is going to increase the A through G requirements. And not only because we are going to be judged by that, how Mr. Grant said, it's because it's the right thing to do, because that is going to benefit our students. And we need to filter every decision, is this going to benefit our students? And when I think how that is going to benefit our students, I know that a lot of people, they might say, no, not everybody is going to go to college. That's true. But I want my students, I want my own son and my own daughter to go to college. It's the same way that I look at the students of the Perris Union High School District, like if they were my own kids. So I want the best thing for them. And this is the best thing that we can do for them. We are going to put the students first without putting the teachers last, because we are not going to lay off any teacher. We are not affecting the teachers. This is a win-win situation. And the most important thing, one more time, I think is the right thing to do. Our demographics, our students here, based on the demographics, deserve that we act upon this important issue. We cannot continue to hear that minorities, that Hispanics, that African Americans, that is a small percent of them who go to college. They can go to college. We believe in them, but we need to provide these meaningful opportunities for them. So when we have the Spanish class and the art class, that is going to have them one more step to complete the requirement of foreign language, and they are going to be completing the requirement for arts, and at the same time getting their high school diploma. So that's the comment that I wanted to make, that we are doing this for the students, and it's a win-win situation, and I'm glad that we are doing this because that is going to benefit our students. And one more time, not only because we are going to be measured on that, it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
No? Okay, well, I do have a comment from Ms. Cooley. She could not be here today. I will read her email to me verbatim. So these are straight from Ms. Cooley's thoughts. My reasons for wanting geography and health to remain required. I believe that geography and health should be required as they are now. Otherwise, it will become a default program and students will not take it. When one of our own students, Paris Union High School District, wants to travel to a foreign country to visit Louisiana, that's just one glaring example. Geography is a prerequisite for U.S. history and world history. Students need that foundation to learn about the economics of all the different nations, and that will make them better prepared for history. You want students to learn as much as possible about all the countries so they are better informed, and teachers will not be blamed for them not knowing states from countries. One could find lots of arguments for requiring health education. It builds students' knowledge, skills, and positive attitudes about health education. It teaches about physical, mental, emotional, and social health. It motivates students to improve and maintain their own health, prevent disease, and reduce risky behaviors. It will help students learn skills they will use to make healthy choices throughout their lives. It also promotes learning in other subjects. Healthy students learn better and do better in school. They have higher attendance, better grades, and perform better on tests. If you take the requirement away, students are the big losers, and it is only a semester. We don't have to follow suit on every other district in Riverside County. Maybe Val Verde and Paris are the two remaining smart, quote-unquote, districts. Just my 2 cents worth. Thanks, Joan Cooley. So that's what she had to say about the situation.
Yeah, and so what I have to say is, when cell phones came out, I remember I said about me in the time that when I came to education, when they rode horses to school. Yeah, and so when the cell phones came out, and I was used to, the calendar and the smartphone actually, right? And I was hanging on passionately. No, I didn't want to go there. And so, and I'm a superintendent of the district, right? And so in Monterey County, and so I was, dragging my feet on that. And a board member showed me, hey, you can do this and do that. And he was a high school dropout to boot. And he was showing me a thing or two. And I said, wow. And so you know what? I changed, I didn't want to work that hard or whatever, for whatever reason. And, we're passionate about things that we like, enjoy, we're used to, we've always done it this way and that sort of thing. Well, if you listen and listen closely, you'll figure out, and Jose said it wonderfully, but in my business card for the 21 years I was superintendent, it said, if not us, who? What was it? If not now, when? If not us, who? We got to do the right thing for our kids. And yeah, there may be some cons, but most of them are negligible. So it's I look at it's the right thing to do, like Jose said. So anyway, I'm very, very much in favor of of doing this and doing the right thing for kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agundes. And I feel that a lot of stuff that I was going to say has already been said, so I won't belabor the point. So if anybody has anything else to say, this is the time. No? Okay. Please vote. Okay. Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, information item. New course, STEM Automotive. Nobody. Okay, that's fine. I know it's information. I didn't know if anybody was actually going to give us information. Okay. Next information item is new course, Medical Interventions, meets A to G requirements. Number 14.3, information item, Buildings and Grounds, information regarding potential mitigation agreement.
Mr. President, is it a...
I'm sorry, did I go back?
So I know it's late in the evening, but we actually wanted to present just a little bit of information to the board, because at the next board meeting, we would plan to bring back to you a mitigation agreement for your approval, if that's how you so direct us to. I'm going to invite Dr. Good up to the podium, but just real quick, while he's making his short distance up here. I know we haven't done this a lot in this district, but oftentimes when we're preparing to build schools, there are developers, near and around the property. We all the time hope, but count on those developers to help share in the cost of the expensive things, such as infrastructure and those sorts of things. This particular developer that Dr. Good's going to talk about approached Dr. Greenberg and I initially wanting, number one, a resolution of support from you as the Board of Trustees for their project. We in turn turned Dr. Good, and I want to give some special kudos to Hector Gonzalez, our Director of Facilities. They went through months and months of negotiations with this developer, and very much like we did for, I know it's way, way, way down the road, but High School 4, we're able to get the developer to basically put in writing what their commitment to our school will be, and so that's a great financial burden off of our shoulders. So let me let Fred tell you a little bit about the project and what the agreement would say, and then you can go ahead and direct us for next month.
And Fred, I know you didn't major in underwater basket weaving at USC. You were capable. Yes. It's not A through G. It's not A through G.
When that's Joe's job. Thank you. I've done it before and I've lived, so. But at any rate, so the two new school projects are both on exactly the same timing, the same development process. And the goal is, because you pass the community pass Measure T, is to get in line for matching state funds. There are no state funds right now, but that makes it even more important that we do what we're bringing to you tonight. Dr. Rouse, I think you might be the only board member that maybe isn't familiar with this site, but very quickly go down the 215 freeway to Scott Road, go east about 2 miles to Leon, and go north, and that's at the corner of Leon and Wickard Road. Why that is interesting is because pre-2008, development, 1990 started in Menifee Lakes, moved Mrs. Twyman towards your house, was moving towards Bell Mountain, about ready to crest the hill towards this site. 2008 came and development really stopped. What is interesting is the area, we picked this high school location, Candace, out of 15, 20 different sites that we looked at, because in the long-term view of the world of in the Menifee area of the district, this is equidistant to the east side of the freeway from where Paloma Valley is on the west side. So in the grand scheme of planning, it would make a great high school attendance area with the high school right in the middle for this and with Paloma on the other side of the freeway. And especially if unification were to occur in Menifee, it would be great planning for them. But when you drive out there right now, it does seem like it's out in the middle of nowhere. And as Candace mentioned, it became even more important to find a development partner to bring sewer, to bring water, to improve streets. So Hector and I have really, really worked hard on this. And just candidly, we're bringing an extraordinary solution, to the board. It's about a $2.13 per square foot payment that we have wrestled, argued, to get them to agree to this point. Whereas if they came into the district, as a normal developer, they would be required by law to pay 85 cents. So that's a tremendous, upcharge. Along with that, they are building a sewer facility of which they're building it. We would hook into it. They are building street improvements altogether above and beyond the mitigation amount of about $3.3 million, would be $1 million about in additional improvements that we would get. With an extraordinary request on our part comes a little bit of an extraordinary request on their part. And Dr. Greenberg and I, many months ago, appeared before the County Board of Supervisors explaining why we are really supporting this project on your behalf. Normally, school districts don't do that. It's our job to really respond to development if and when it comes. But this is such a positive benefit for the current Paris Union High School District. If Menifee were to unify, this is a very responsible thing that we're doing, trying to develop a partnership with an adjacent developer. And it's a touchy project because it's 170 acres that currently are zoned for estate density, which is one dwelling unit per 2 acres. On this 170 acres, their development proposal is to put 520 homes. But it's the first of what I believe will be several developments like this around the high school project. So what we would be doing is coming to you next month with a mitigation agreement that would include a provision, a resolution that the board would support or supports this project for, frankly, economic and planning reasons. So that's in essence kind of where we're at.
The question. You said that they're supplying this $2 and some odd cents per square foot, and you said they came asking us for whatever it happens to be. What exactly are they asking from us?
I think they're asking probably two simple things. One would be a resolution from the board that generally just says we, the Paris Union High School District, support the development of this project.
So they could have it rezoned for higher density.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that's an atypical request. I mean, normally, but we're asking for a lot from them. I think the second thing would probably be that they would like someone from the district, and I'm not trying to create work for me, but to me it would be less awkward if I were the one to accompany them to a meeting with Marion Ashley, as an example.
Okay.
So I think that would be the kind of support that they would be looking for.
And that would be at the county supervisor level to make that change? Okay.
County supervisor, city of Menifee, community meetings, that kind of thing. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes. The reason that we think this is important is because, the community has passed Measure T, which funds half of the construction of the new high school, half of the new middle school. Without the state program, I know that Menifee wants the second school, but without the state program and that other half of funding, it becomes that much more important that we go out and have developers participate in the funding of the construction. So we think it's a benefit towards, potential unification.
Now, go ahead. Okay. And so how much would the bit, normally you said it's 85 cents, and now it would be $2 and so many cents. 13 cents. So you might not be able to come up with that number, but so we're going to make double, and we don't know
More
what
than
that.
double.
Yeah, more than double. We don't know what that number is because we don't know how many square feet they're going to put in there, or we have some guess.
It's about 240% of what we would normally collect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't know the dollar.
Oh no, I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
2 million, 3 million.
It's
you know.
about $3.5 million plus $1 million in sewer and street improvements.
Yeah, that's big. That we don't have.
Right. Yep. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Good. Okay. Information item on board policies, philosophy, goals, objectives, and comprehensive plan, Series 0. Information item on board policies, community relations. Information item on board policies, students, Series 5000. Information item on board policies, instruction, Series 6000. And information on board policies, board bylaws, Series 9000. Okay. Closed session?
No, sir.
Not necessary. Good answer. I learned from the best. Okay. Do not need to reconvene. Other items by the superintendent?
None.
Another good answer. Other items by the Board of Trustees? Dr. Rouse?
No.
No? Ms. Wyman? Mr. Gundes? And none for me. I do want to say that I really am going to miss the chance of being at the Paris High School this Saturday for the sports challenge. I will be out of town, but I really enjoy watching all the students compete and the athletes out there mentoring the other students. It's really awesome to see. So if you do get a chance to go, I highly recommend it. It's a great day. And motion for adjournment?
I second.
Okay, please vote. Okay. We got two more, so it's okay. Yeah, we got a small one. Okay. Okay, you may join the meeting now. I'm sorry. We ended that we needed that was ended at 8:18. Yeah. That was my bad, sorry. Yeah, got her napping. Okay, everybody in? You should be open. Okay. Call to order this Community Facilities District number 92-1 meeting. It comes to order at 8:19. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees. Any takers? Nope. action items. General functions, approving the minutes of the Paris Union High School District, legislative body of the Community Facilities District number 92-1 special board meeting of January 21st, 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ed and Carolyn. Okay, please vote. Okay. Action item, business resolution number 17, 14, and 15 of the board, 14 and 15 of the Board of Trustees of the Paris Union High School District, acting as the legislative body of Community Facilities District number 92-1 of the PUHSD, stating its intention to annex territory to Community Facilities District number 92-1 of the PUHSD, and to levy special taxes within such annexation territory and taking related actions. Do I have a motion?
I second.
Thank you. Please vote.
Mr. President, did you want me to explain the CFD items, or are you guys okay?
This is the same from 2 months ago, correct?
They slightly different. These are this is to annex the homes into the community facility district. In December of 14, we annexed them into the district, so this would allow us to levy taxes on them.
Okay.
The next item is to approve the boundary map. And then 30 days, or after 30 days of you taking this action, we have to have you approve additional items, which I believe Dr. Greenberg or Lori sent you the special board meeting in April. So
Yeah,
just
very
real
cool.
quick.
Okay. Okay, action. This is for the boundary map, like you said, for resolution number 18, 14 to 15. This is approving and ordering the recording of an annexation boundary map of proposed annexation territory to Community Facilities District number 92-1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
I second.
And don't everybody jump out of your seats at once. Please vote. Okay. And motion for adjournment?
Make a motion.
Please vote. Did you vote no to adjourn? You want to be here longer? Did you even vote? Yes. Oh, she voted no. That's what she Okay, well, we still have a 3-1 majority, so I guess we are adjourned at 8:23. Okay.